Leo stared at Kevin's resolute expression, momentarily taken aback. I told you, you don't have to decide this fast. Go home, think it over. Once we sell, there's no going back. But Kevin just shook his head. I won't regret it. Leo, we've been best friends for years. We know each other inside and out. Besides, if it wasn't for your idea, there's no way we could have each banked tens of thousands of dollars in one summer. I never would have had the chance to even start that video channel. He paused, a small smile playing on his lips. So if you're saying you have a better plan, I don't see any reason to hesitate. I trust you. Hearing that unwavering trust, Leo couldn't help but laugh, a wave of warmth washing over him. He pressed his lips together. All right then, ask Clara to help you dig up the social media accounts of the people still selling stuff in the Black Fork region. We'll start sending them DMs. You got it. After parting ways with Kevin, Leo headed straight for room 405 in the Fletcher Arts and Design building. The door was closed, and a small plaque was affixed to it. Starfall Studios. They actually turned a classroom into a studio. Leo was surprised, his perception of Sean Zhao's operation shifting. Renting a classroom on campus wasn't just about the money. The real challenge was getting the university administration to sign off on it. You could have all the cash in the world, but without the right connections, they wouldn't give you the time of day. Just as Leo reached for the doorknob, a girl's voice sounded from behind him. Hey, this classroom has been leased as a private studio. Only members are allowed inside. Leo turned to see a girl with burgundy hair standing there. She wore a crop top and a form-fitting denim miniskirt, casually chewing gum. One hand was on her hip as she blew a lazy bubble, then popped it with a soft smack, pulling the gum back into her mouth. Leo's eyes flickered over her bold outfit for a second before he answered politely. I'm here to see Sean Zhao. Looking for Sean? The girl raised an eyebrow and pushed the door open. As the door swung inward, Leo saw that room 405 wasn't a large lecture hall as he'd imagined. It was more like a 6-person office, maybe 500 square feet. It was filled with professional-looking camera equipment, and 4 desks were pushed together to form a large workstation. 2 guys with glasses sat hunched over their computers, completely absorbed in their screens. The girl called out to one of them, a guy with a buzz cut. Sean, someone's here for you. HM. The guy turned, his face breaking into a smile when he saw Leo. Leo, that's me. Hey, Sean. Confirming Leo's identity, Sean quickly stood up and walked over, introducing the burgundy-haired girl. Ruby, this is the freshman I was telling you about on the phone, Leo Yeager. Leo, this is our studio's creative director, Ruby Yu. She's a junior like me. Ruby's eyes widened as she looked Leo up and down, her painted lips slightly parted. Wow, she finally said. When Sean said a freshman wanted to join our studio, I was picturing some nerdy bookworm type. I wasn't expecting this. She licked her lips, a playful smile spreading across her face. Well, Leo, if you really join us, you let your big sis Ruby know if you need anything at all, okay? Thanks. Leo instinctively took a small step back, a little overwhelmed by the forward upperclassman. Sean, apparently used to Ruby's antics, just shook his head with a helpless smile. He introduced the other guy in the room. That's Don Run, our cameraman and video editor. He's not much a talker, so don't take it personally. Our other editor, Quinn Fan, is out right now, but you'll meet him eventually. Got it. Don never even turned his head. Hearing his name, he simply raised a hand in a perfunctory wave without looking away from his monitor. Sean led Leo to a small sofa in the corner. Leo, let's just get straight to it. Starfall Studios is focused on creating narrative content for social media, short, episodic films. Obviously, the most popular stuff on the platforms right now is still the 10-second comedy clips. But based on my analysis, the platforms are going to be heavily promoting longer, story-driven content in the next few years. Now is the perfect time to get in on the ground floor. But it requires initial capital for equipment, ad spend, props, everything. We're still short 2 scriptwriters, but our biggest problem is funding. Leo wasn't surprised by the studio's direction. He'd figured as much. As long as the scripts and content were solid, this approach had a high probability of success. He cut to the chase. Sean, what about the main talent for the videos? And if I invest, what would the return on that investment look like? Hearing Leo's questions, Sean's excitement grew. This was a good sign. Leo was clearly serious about investing. He launched into a more detailed breakdown of his business plan. An hour later, they had reached a preliminary agreement. When Ruby heard that Leo was planning to invest $20,000, and possibly more, her jaw nearly hit the floor. For a freshman to have that kind of money meant he was definitely from a wealthy family. She draped an arm over Leo's shoulder, her smile turning suggestive. Well, not only handsome, but loaded too, huh, freshman? Ahem, I do okay. Leo rubbed his nose awkwardly and leaned forward slightly, creating a bit of distance between them. Ruby didn't seem to mind. She announced she was going out to buy them some iced drinks and told them to keep talking. After she left, Leo finally let out a breath. Sean, is Ruby always like that? I have a friend who might be a little concerned about me joining a studio with someone so forward. Could you maybe talk to her and explain that I'm... Sean immediately understood and waved his hand, smiling. Don't worry, Leo. It wouldn't matter if you had a girlfriend. Ruby won't be a problem for you. But just now she was... Sean cleared his throat and lowered his voice. Ruby's like that with everyone. The thing is, she's into girls. You have absolutely nothing to worry about. Ruby was into girls. The news from Sean left Leo's mouth hanging open. It took him a moment to process before a look of dawning comprehension crossed his face. Now that you mention it, that makes a lot more sense. Yeah. I hope you're not weirded out. Not at all, not at all. Leo waved his hand, a weight lifting from his chest. If Isabelle found out there was a girl in his new studio hitting on him that aggressively, God knows if she'd have Lester call Ron and Hugh to make Ruby quietly disappear into the night. Guess I'm just too kind-hearted, always thinking about the well-being of others. You dodged a bullet, Ruby. Leo felt magnanimous. His concern wasn't about Isabelle getting mad. It was purely for Ruby's personal safety. With the misunderstanding cleared up, Leo and Sean got back to business. Sean, I think I have a good grasp of the studio situation now, and I'm on board with your vision. To be honest, my investment doesn't come with any technical skills in filming or editing, but I can definitely handle market research. My friend and I already successfully built a channel from the ground up, so I feel like I know what I'm doing in that area. Sean was impressed. He pushed his glasses up his nose, his interest peaked. Would you mind if I took a look at the account? Sure. Leo nodded, pulled up TikTok, and typed in the name of the channel he and Kevin had built in the Black Fork region. Even though the content was in a completely different lane from what Starfall Studios planned to do, Sean was full of praise after watching a few videos. Leo, I underestimated you. I can't believe a freshman already has this much experience. He paused. If I'm not mistaken, the money you're planning to invest came from this channel, right? More or less. That, and some money I'd saved up. Good. In that case, let's talk numbers. Leo thought for a moment. 25,000, he said firmly, and I need 5,000 of that to be listed under someone else's name, with its own share of the profits. You can consider bringing another member into the studio. He can't offer much technical help either, but he'll only be taking a cut of the profits, not participating in any decision-making. He was bringing Kevin in. In the short term, Leo couldn't think of a better startup opportunity than Starfall Studios. He capped Kevin's investment at 5,000 because all investments carry risk, and this was one he had personally sourced. If the studio failed before it became profitable, Kevin wouldn't lose too much. As for his own investment, Leo was taking a gamble, but there was no reason for Kevin, who wasn't as much of a risk-taker, to go all in with him. That works, Sean agreed. I'll get the contract drafted today. With this, you and your friend will be the majority shareholders, holding exactly 49% of the equity. He smiled. Even I only have a 20% stake in the studio I founded. But you're the boss, Sean. I'm just following your lead, Leo said, his expression unchanged. In reality, according to the contract, once his and Kevin's money was in, Leo would legally hold the most sway in the entire studio. On many key decisions, he would have a deciding vote. Sean let out a relieved breath. All right, let's leave it at that for now. I'll get the paperwork started, and we can meet again once it's ready. He grabbed a folder from the desk. Leo, since we've basically agreed to partner up, I can fill you in on a few things. I've already got a lead on the scriptwriters. We should have them locked in within 3 days. This folder contains the initial plan for the channel's launch phase. Take it home, look it over, and let me know if you have any suggestions. Will do. Leo took the folder and said his goodbyes. Just as he stepped out of the studio, he ran into Ruby returning with the drinks. Seeing that Leo was leaving, she put on an apologetic pout. You're heading out, Leo? My bad, my bad. I saw a super cute girl on my way to the cafe and couldn't help but stare a little too long. She quickly handed a drink to Leo. Here for you. It's iced. Hearing her excuse, Leo was now a firm believer in what Sean had told him. She didn't just like girls. She was completely down bad. Thanks, Ruby. I'll get you a boba tea next time. Hee. You're too sweet, Leo. After Leo left, Ruby went back into room 405 and handed Sean his drink. So, you saw Leo? Yeah, he just left. How'd the talk go? Sean nodded. It's a done deal. He's investing $25,000. Once the contract is signed, he'll be the biggest shareholder in the studio. $25,000? Ruby's brow furrowed in concern. Doesn't that mean he'll have the final say on everything we do? He could even overrule you, the founder. He could, but don't worry about it. He's just an investor handling market research. The technical skills are all on our end. He doesn't know enough about the production side, so most decisions will still come down to us. Besides, how much ambition can a freshman really have? He just has a fancier title on paper. That's all, Sean said with a lighthearted laugh, completely unconcerned. But Ruby wasn't so sure. She had a feeling that making Leo the most powerful voice in the studio was a move that would, one day, come back to completely stun Sean. He had no idea that Leo's ambition was far greater than he could possibly imagine. Leaving the Fletcher Arts building, Leo headed back to his dorm. It was quiet inside. Rex and the other two were all asleep. Leo sat down at his desk and began flipping through the studio's initial proposal that Sean had given him. From the detailed content, it was clear that Sean and his team had done their homework, researching a ton of industry-specific information. They had a clear step-by-step plan for their launch. I hope this is a good bet, he thought. In the quiet dorm room, the only sounds were the hum of the fan and the soft rustle of pages turning. A moment later, Rex, who had been off in dreamland, shot up in bed without warning. He stared at Leo, his expression one of pure horror. What the hell, Leo? Are you secretly studying while the rest of us are asleep? He hissed. Jesus Christ, you're not even trying to hide it. You're just out here grinding, trying to wreck the curve. You're a monster. There's a saying that goes around every college campus. The gentle hum of a gaming PC is the ultimate white noise, but the sound of your roommate turning a textbook page will wake the dead. That was precisely why Rex had jolted awake. The dorm had been silent, and Leo had been so engrossed in the document that Rex's sudden outburst made him jump. Jesus, man, you have 0 startup frames. You scared the crap out of me. Leo shot back, annoyed, but Rex just stared at him, eyes wide. Leo, are you really studying? I thought we all agreed to slack off together. Studying what? It's a business proposal for a studio. It has nothing to do with school. Go back to sleep. Really? Swear on it. If you're lying, then you and Isabelle Thornton are no longer purely platonic good neighbors. I swear. Shit, I'm still half asleep. I almost forgot you two aren't platonic anyway. Rex refused to believe him. He scrambled down from his bunk and scurried over to Leo's desk. Only after confirming it wasn't a textbook did he breathe a sigh of relief. Phew, Leo, I almost thought you were a traitor to this dorm. You can have a girlfriend, you can game all night, but you absolutely cannot study alone. Dude, you really can't stand being one-up, can you? Leo was speechless. For the rest of the week, Leo was busy with classes. During his major-related courses, he'd listen for the key points while scrolling through his phone, analyzing different narrative-style social media channels. During his blow-off classes, he'd ignore the lecture entirely and focus on his research. For the large lectures he shared with Isabelle, they'd sit in adjacent rows. On Wednesday evening, 2 things happened. First, the court-ordered settlement from his Aunt Brenda's family finally came through. Second, he received the drafted contract from Sean. Naturally, Leo didn't sign it immediately. He forwarded it to Walter Wallace, letting the professional lawyer review it for any unreasonable clauses or loopholes. It wasn't that he didn't trust Sean, it was just standard procedure. It's just business. Once Walter confirmed the contract was solid, Leo met with Sean on Thursday and signed the papers. All right, freshman, the contract is signed. Yeah, I'll wire the money within a week. After settling things with Sean, Leo drove straight to Cust, Kevin's university. Clara had already found the social media accounts of the remaining vendors in the Black Fork region. After some deliberation, Leo and Kevin sold their channel for $12,000. The account itself wasn't worth that much. The main value came from the passive income it would generate over the next few months from existing videos, at least $3,000, even without new content. Furthermore, as long as the new owner continued to post videos of similar quality, they could expect brand deals and views from the established follower base. So, $12,000 was an exorbitant price. Leo also told Kevin about the investment opportunity with Starfall Studios, offering him the $5,000 stake. Kevin accepted without a moment's hesitation. Leo, I honestly never thought that right after starting college, I'd be making enough money to not need an allowance from my parents and have over 10 grand in my pocket. Seriously, sometimes my dreams aren't even this good. I feel like we're the main characters in some web novel. Kevin was beaming, unable to hide his excitement. Leo pursed his lips. Yeah, it's great compared to most people. But then you think about all the rich kids whose allowance is 10 grand a month. When you put it like that, it suddenly feels a lot less exciting. Hey, I'm not trying to bring you down, just keeping you grounded. Leo paused, then asked curiously, "So, how are things going with you and Clara?" At the mention of Clara's name, Kevin's face turned bright red. He stammered for a bit before mumbling, "Well, Clara still owed a few thousand, right? And I was thinking, I have all this money now and can't spend it all at once, so I helped her pay it off. I also gave her some extra to help with her dad's medical bills. I told her she didn't have to pay me back, but she insisted on writing me an IOU. Said she wouldn't hang out with me anymore if I didn't let her." Leo's eyes widened. Damn, his boy Kevin actually had some game. He had Clara wrapped around his finger. "So, are you and Clara together or not?" Kevin fidgeted. "And not yet. I think she likes me, but she hasn't said anything, so I'm not sure." Leo had just been praising Kevin's smooth moves, only to realize he was a complete dumbass. "Dude, you're an idiot. You know what Clara's like. If you wait for her to confess, you'll be waiting until after graduation. With the way things are between you two now, all you have to do is ask her out and she'll say yes in a heartbeat," Leo said, rolling his eyes. Kevin's face lit up. "Really? You're not messing with me, Leo. Believe it or not. Whether her future kids have her last name is up to you now." Looking at Kevin's earnest, clueless expression, Leo couldn't deal with the all-brawn no-brains knucklehead anymore. He turned, got in the car he'd borrowed from Rex, and headed back to CPI. It was Friday, and he had a 2 o'clock class. After that, it was the big mixer dinner between his dorm, 415, and Isabelle's 311. Driving back to campus, Leo rubbed his chest while waiting at a red light, his eyes narrowing slightly. "Weird. Ever since I woke up this morning, my heart's been racing randomly, and my left I won't stop twitching. It's just a door mixer. Why am I so worked up?" After parking Rex's car back at CPI, Leo glanced at the time. 5 minutes until class started. He sprinted toward the lecture hall. Even though it was a large combined section, this professor did roll call and made a point of looking up at each student as he called their name. No chance of having someone answer for you. "Bring." Leo slipped through the back door just as the bell rang, sliding into the seat next to Rex. Isabelle and her 3 roommates were sitting in the row behind him this time. "Leo, where'd you run off to?" "Your neighbor over here was staring a hole through the door waiting for you," Haley said, poking him in the back with a grin. Isabelle's expression was icy. "Haley, don't talk nonsense." "I was not." Haley huffed, thinking, "Yeah, right?" Leo leaned back and explained in a low voice, "I had to go to cuss to see Kevin." "Oh." Isabelle's face remained cool, but the flicker in her eyes betrayed her. Sitting next to Leo, Rex heard the exchange and scoffed. In a voice only Leo could hear, he muttered, "Are you two both allergic to admitting you care? Her roommate's right. Before you got here, Isabelle kept looking back and forth between the front and back doors, and now she's denying it." "Dude, how would you know if I'm allergic or not? You kissed me," Leo retorted, then tossed Rex's car keys back to him. "Nice car. Since you're so rich, you should buy me one sometime." "I'm a rich kid, not your damn sugar daddy." Since it wasn't one of his major courses and he'd been running around all week, Leo decided to put his head down on the desk for a quick nap. But with Isabelle sitting behind him today, he wouldn't get to smell her hair. When she sat in front of him, he loved to playfully wind a strand of her hair around his finger. By the end of class, his hand would be scented with her shampoo. Just as he was about to drift off, a bored Rex nudged him with his elbow. "Hey, Leo, what time are we eating tonight? I need to know if I'll have time to fix my hair after class. I gotta be the best-looking guy there." 7 or 8. Ask Haley for the details. "I'm dead tired, about to pass out. Wake me up when the professor gets here." "Damn it, I'm too shy to ask her." As Rex continued to ramble, Leo finally drifted off. He didn't know how much time had passed when he felt someone kicking his leg under the desk. His first thought was that it was Rex, bored out of his mind again. Too tired to care, he ignored it. But the more he ignored it, the more insistent the kicking became. Finally, Leo couldn't take it anymore. Keeping his eyes closed, he grumbled, "Rex, stop kicking me, man." "What the hell? I'm not kicking you. You having a nightmare or something?" Rex shot back, scooting away from Leo and closer to Felix. He was busy playing Valiant Legends on his phone, muttering his character's lines under his breath. Master Gearite. IQ 250. Worship me. Remember to worship me. And had no time for Leo's nonsense. The moment Leo had called out Rex, the foot under the desk stopped. But just before he could fall asleep again, it was back. This time, however, the sensation on his bare leg was different. It didn't feel like a shoe anymore. It felt like someone was rubbing their foot against him. Leo's eyes shot open. He sat bolt upright, a tingly, electric feeling jolting through his brain. No mistake. Absolutely no mistake. That's the feeling of stockings. His mind reeled. He glanced down. A small foot in black stockings was extending from the row behind him, gently prodding his leg. It wasn't really a kick, it was more like a caress. Leo froze. The foot looked incredibly familiar. It was Isabelle's. Realizing this, he whipped his head around. But Isabelle was sitting perfectly upright, staring at him with a cool, detached expression, as if nothing had happened. HM. As he turned, the movement under the desk stopped. Leo stared at her, confused. Was he imagining things? The second he turned back around, the foot was there again. Leo leaned over slightly. He was 100% certain it was her. But every time he looked back, he was met with that same icy stare. Hearing her inner thought, Leo's heart began to pound. Oh, so we're playing this game, are we? He put on a stern face and said to her in a low, serious voice, "Pay attention to the lecture." Oh, Isabelle nodded, but the foot under the desk didn't stop. In fact, it grew bolder, and soon both of her feet were stroking his calves. Seeing Leo repeatedly turn around, Haley finally couldn't take it anymore. She pouted. "Leo, if you miss your little neighbor that much, why don't we just switch seats? You're the one sleeping through the whole class, and you have the nerve to tell Isabelle to pay attention? Talk about flipping the script." Leo opened his mouth, feeling utterly wronged. He couldn't exactly tell Haley the truth, could he? "Hey, your roommate is busy playing footsie with me under the desk with her stocking-clad feet." Defeated, Leo turned back to the front. Under the desk, Isabelle grew even more brazen, clearly enjoying teasing him. Leo's sleepiness was completely gone, replaced by a restless heat spreading through his body from the touch of her feet. His mind was racing. Finally, the class ended. Leo shot up from his seat, grabbed Isabelle by the arm, and pulled her out into the hallway. Seeing that she was about to get her comeuppance, Isabelle's confident demeanor finally cracked. She shrank back, her eyes darting around nervously. "Leo, class is over. I need to go back to my dorm. Please let me go." Leo gave her a meaningful look. "Back to your dorm? First, you tell me, what exactly were you doing under the desk during class?" "I wasn't doing anything." Her voice was defiant, but her posture wasn't. She even lifted her chin, trying to bluff her way through with her usual cool facade. Leo just snorted and glanced down at her black stocking feet. "You must have rubbed a hole in those things by now. You try that again, and I won't be so nice about it." "Oh no. What are you going to do? Put in your mouth." "You must have rubbed a hole in those things by now. You try that again, and I won't be so nice about it." "Oh no. What are you going to do? Put in your mouth." Leo's brain short-circuited. Clunk. He stared at Isabelle, stunned into silence for a full 10 seconds. He never, in a million years, would have imagined that her 98-degree mouth could produce a statement that was 150 degrees explosive. The deadliest part was her expression, still as cool and detached as ever. If he hadn't heard it with his own ears, he would have thought he was hallucinating. Leo swallowed hard, a muscle in his cheek twitching. Who taught you to say something that while?" "Haley. She's talking nonsense. You can't put a foot in your mouth." Isabelle tilted her head, her eyes filled with genuine confusion. "But Haley said you guys like it when a girl's foot is in black stockings." Just as Leo was scrambling for a rebuttal, Haley, Zoe, and Jesse walked out of the classroom. They waved at Isabelle. "Isabelle, time to go. We have to get ready for dinner tonight." "Okay, coming." Isabelle glanced at Leo one last time before hurrying off to join her friends. A moment later, Leo finally snapped out of it, staring at the back of the real culprit, Haley. "TSK, my neighbor hangs out with her, and she's bound to pick up some interesting things." "Leo, what are you mumbling about over here?" Rex asked, walking up beside him. Leo replied, automatically, "Isabelle wanted to put her stockinged foot in my mouth." "Leo, that's not even funny. Everyone knows Isabelle is an ice queen. She wouldn't just not do something like that. She wouldn't even say it." Rex looked at him disdainfully, figuring Leo was still half asleep. Leo snorted silently. "Huh, you don't believe it? Hell, I barely believe it. But I damn well heard her say it. Hey Ned, what do you think? Is my hair on point or what?" After getting ready, the guys from dorm 415 were waiting for a message from girls. Rex, who had spent a full hour in the bathroom, emerged and eagerly sought Ned's opinion. The ever-honest Ned glanced over and exclaimed, "Looks just like the bird's nest back home." "Fuck you." Rex's face went pale, and he nearly fainted from the insult. He took several deep breaths before retorting, "You hick, what do you know? This is the effortlessly messy look. It's all the rage online right now." Ned and Leo weren't interested, but Felix's eyes lit up. He hesitated for a moment before saying, "Hey, Rex, can you do my hair too? I mean, I'm having dinner with Zoe." Finally, someone with taste. Rex beamed, telling Felix to shower him with a few more compliments before he'd work his magic. Felix was uncharacteristically generous with his praise today, making Rex grin from ear to ear. Once Felix also had a stylish coif, the four guys from 415 marched out to wait by the campus gate. Rex kept flicking his hair and conspicuously raising his wrist to flash his expensive watch. He was trying his absolute hardest to look cool, but no one was paying him any attention. Leo checked the time. It was already 7. Being a Friday, the food truck park and all the restaurants would be packed. If they were any later, they might not find a table for 8. He pulled out his phone and texted Isabelle. Leo, you guys ready? She replied almost instantly. Isabelle, Jesse and I are. We're already downstairs. Leo, what about Zoe and Haley? Isabelle, Haley said she's on her eyeliner. Leo? Finally, at 7:30, the 4 girls from dorm 311 arrived. Whoa, okay, maybe the wait was worth it. They never wear this much makeup to class. Today is. Felix was completely stunned when he saw Zoe and the others in full makeup. Even Rex was baited. Unfortunately for him, Jesse was average-looking, while Isabelle and Zoe were clearly Leo and Felix's types, which only left Haley. Haley was also very attractive, but she wasn't Rex's type. Isabelle walked coolly over to Leo, her lips parting slightly. Leo, do I look pretty? You look amazing today. As expected of my neighbor, Leo praised her without hesitation. Soon, the group hailed a couple of cars and headed off to the restaurant, a popular barbecue joint. Since they arrived late, they had to wait 20 minutes for a table. Just as they settled into the private room, Leo's phone rang. It was Walter Wallace. He excused himself and stepped outside to take the call. Mr. Wallace, is everything okay? Nothing major, Leo. Just calling to confirm that you've received the full settlement from Brenda's family. Leo breathed a sigh of relief. He'd been worried there was an issue with the contract he'd signed with Sharon. Looks like he was overthinking it. Yes, it all came through. Thanks so much for your help, Mr. Wallace. Don't mention it. By the way, I only had a chance to confirm the contract was okay the other day, but we didn't get to talk about it. Are you planning to use that money to invest in a studio? Yeah, I want to try starting a business. That's great, but you're starting at a pretty high level. I'm a little worried you might be in over your head. But you've made your decision, so there's no point in me saying more. If you run into any other legal matters down the line, don't hesitate to call me. Okay, thank you, Mr. Wallace. I'll have to treat you to dinner sometime soon, and don't say no. After hanging up, Leo returned to the room. Isabelle, Rex, and the others had already ordered. He glanced around and saw that the seat next to Isabelle was conveniently empty, a clear setup by the others. Without a shred of hesitation, he sat down beside her. Just then, Haley suggested, Leo, you 4 guys can all drink, right? How about we get some beer? Of course. My tolerance is no joke. Rex was the first to speak up, full of confidence. Leo and the others shot him looks of pure disdain. At the last dinner, Rex was the first one to get wasted. All right, let's get 2 cases of beer then, Haley said. Seeing no objections, she called the waiter over. Leo didn't really care. He was about to ask Isabelle if she drank when he turned and found her staring at him, her eyes full of anticipation. Leo, drink a lot tonight. Tonight I should. Drink a lot? Are you sure you don't mean I should drink less? Leo was a bit confused. Most couples, neighbors, would tell each other to take it easy on the alcohol. Why was Isabelle flipping the script and encouraging him to drink more? Faced with the question, Isabelle maintained her cool expression, her lips pressed together in a stubborn line, fully committing to her silent ice queen persona. Wait, I know. Leo blurted out, a look of sudden realization on his face. Seeing this, Isabelle's face tensed, her eyes darting nervously toward him. Oh no, did he figure out? Leo snorted. Though he wasn't wearing glasses, he mimicked pushing up a pair of imaginary frames, a glint of white light seeming to reflect off the non-existent lenses, as if he'd just cracked a case. Huh, I remember now. Last time I got drunk, you secretly. Secretly what? Isabelle's hands tightened on the hem of her skirt, her gaze anxious. Had he finally remembered what happened all those weeks ago? But Leo's next words made her instantly relax. You secretly smeared lipstick all over my mouth. You probably didn't dare to take a picture last time. Now that you know I'm completely out of it when I'm drunk, you're planning to do it again, but this time with photographic evidence. He paused, looking smug. But your little plan is going to fail. Last time was hard liquor. This is beer. You can't get drunk on beer. Whatever makes you happy, Leo, Isabelle muttered. You big idiot. But Leo was convinced he was a genius who had instantly seen through her cunning plot. Soon, the food and beer arrived. After a toast, everyone dug in. At first, the guys from 415, aside from Leo, were all a bit shy and quiet. In contrast, Haley and the other girls were completely at ease, chatting about whatever they wanted. After a few beers, Rex, who had zero tolerance, was filled with liquid courage, and his mouth started running. You guys probably don't know this, but I drove a Mercedes to school. I was going to drive you all to dinner tonight, but there were too many people. Next time, though, if you need anything, just call me. I'll be your personal chauffeur. Leo's lip twitched, and he quickly shot a look at Ned. Ned, sitting next to Rex, understood immediately and tugged on his shirt under the table, whispering, "Rex, knock it off. We're not in the dorm. Stop talking crap, it's so cringe." But Rex was already on another level and wouldn't listen. The girls just giggled at his bragging. Haley, in particular, found him amusing. Even though his jokes were obvious, he was good at livening up the atmosphere. When Rex went to the bathroom mid-meal, Haley said with a smile, "Leo, your roommate Rex is pretty funny. Pretending to be a rich kid and using those over-the-top lines to make everyone laugh." Hi, yeah, right. Leo exchanged a glance with Ned and Felix, and they all forced a dry laugh. Well, damn. The reason no one thought Rex was being an obnoxious tryhard was because they all thought he was just joking around. They'd all seen posers pretend to be rich, but they'd never seen a genuinely rich kid get mistaken for a class clown for telling the truth. Meanwhile, Felix was trying his best to strike up a conversation with Zoe. Although she responded to everything he said, it was clear she was just being polite. After a few failed attempts, Felix gave up, growing quiet, and just clinking glasses with Ned and Leo. "Leo, cheers." "Cheers." Leo downed his glass, only for Haley to immediately ask for a toast. And so it went. Leo was responsible for drinking, and Isabelle, sitting beside him, was responsible for pouring. Every single time, she filled his glass to the brim, as if terrified he wouldn't drink enough. After several consecutive glasses, Leo finally noticed something was off. He looked at Isabelle suspiciously. "You keep pouring me this much. Are you that afraid I won't get drunk tonight?" "I'm not." "Then why do you keep filling it to the top?" Isabelle narrowed her eyes and said crisply, "I'm afraid you're thirsty." The logic was flawless. Leo stared at her, exasperated. "You're not drinking, you're just making me drink. Don't you know you can't get drunk on beer, but you can get really bloated?" "Oh, then I'll have a glass too." Perhaps Isabelle felt her attempts to get him drunk were becoming too obvious. So, having not touched a drop all night, she decided to have a drink herself. That way, she could keep encouraging him. Halfway through the meal, Isabelle noticed that even after 3 full bottles of beer, Leo showed no signs of being drunk. He wasn't even flushed. She finally accepted that he was right. He wouldn't get drunk on beer. She puffed out her cheeks, gave up her plan, and shifted her focus to the grilled meat. She'd been so busy trying to get Leo drunk, she hadn't eaten a thing. "Leo, I want that one." "Okay, I'll grill it for you." Leo casually started grilling the pork shoulder she wanted. The last few times they'd gone for hot pot or skewers at the food truck park, he had always been the one to grab things for her. It had become a habit. But for Haley, Zoe, and the others, it was a baffling sight. "Hello. You claim to be purely platonic good neighbors, but you're acting just like a couple, in front of everyone." Well, Leo, I thought you said you and my Isabelle were just neighbors. Why are you grilling meat for your neighbor?" Haley teased. Leo was completely unfazed. "We're neighbors. What's wrong with grilling some meat for her? I'd do it for any friend." "Really?" Haley raised an eyebrow, her tone playful. "Then grill one for me too." Yeah, Leo, I want some too." Rex, already drunk, slurred from across the table. "You two have perfectly good hands. I'm not going to spoil you. Grill it yourselves." Question mark. Haley was dumbfounded. She let a huff. "TCH, Leo, you just spoil Isabelle. My uncle spoils her. It has nothing to do with me." Leo remained calm. Seeing the pork was cooked, he quickly picked it up with his chopsticks and placed it on Isabelle's plate. Isabelle's eyes sparkled as she began to eat it in small bites. Everyone at the table was in awe of Leo's shamelessness. After all that, he was still sticking to the good neighbor's story. Haley rolled her eyes, her voice full of conviction. "You two are definitely using us as part of your little game, aren't you?" As the dinner party wound down, everyone had mostly stopped eating and was just chatting and drinking. Suddenly, a loud thump made them all jump. They looked over to see Rex's head planted firmly on the table, passed out cold. He was still mumbling, "Tonight's on me." Everyone stared, dumbfounded. Leo was in shock. "Holy shit, is it actually possible to get drunk on beer?" Felix and Ned covered their faces, embarrassed in front of the girls. "Ahem, sorry about him." "Hey, he said his tolerance was great, but he drank less than I did," Zoe said, giggling at the sight of the unconscious Rex. Rex's downfall, however, reignited a spark of hope in Isabelle, who had given up on her mission. She immediately grabbed a bottle and started refilling Leo's glass again. "Leo, come on, drink up." "I'm not drinking." Isabelle's face was dead serious. Yes, you are. You're thirsty. Drink. In the end, thanks to Isabelle's relentless pestering, Leo was forced to down 2 more bottles. While he wasn't drunk, after 6 or 7 beers in one evening, his head was starting to feel a little fuzzy. More importantly, his stomach was at its limit. Drinking that much without a break was making him incredibly bloated and uncomfortable. He waved his hands frantically. No more, no more. I don't care how much you beg. I can't drink another drop. My stomach's going to explode. Okay then. Isabelle sighed, a little disappointed. Rex can get drunk, but little Leo can't. I must not be trying hard enough. Hearing her thoughts, Leo swallowed hard. What kind of little demon was she? At 10:30, the group finally left the restaurant. Under the night sky, Ned and Felix supported the drunken Rex between them. Rex was still muttering incoherently, which sent the girls into another fit of laughter. Felix managed a pained smile. Well, we're going to get him back to the dorm. Okay, Haley replied, watching the 3 of them get into a car and drive off. After they were gone, Haley squinted at Leo and Isabelle. Okay, there are 5 of us left. We can't all fit in one car, but it doesn't make sense for Leo to ride alone, so. Her eyes lit up. Isabelle, you ride with Leo? The 3 of us will take another car. Before Leo or Isabelle could respond, she had already hailed a taxi and was pushing Zoe and Jesse inside. A moment later, their car disappeared into the night. When it was just the 2 of them, Isabelle finally looked at Leo, her eyes full of hope. Leo, are you drunk? Give it up. Only Rex can get drunk on beer, Leo said, pursing his lips. He was still convinced she was just waiting for him to pass out, so she could ambush him with lipstick again. Hearing his answer, Isabelle pouted, clearly let down. Finally, they hailed another car and headed back to CPI. Inside the campus gates, they walked toward the girls' dorms under the dark sky. Isabelle trailed behind Leo, her pace deliberately slow. The campus was quiet at 11, the only sound the occasional chirping of cicadas. In the moonlight, their shadows stretched long on the pavement. She hadn't said a word, but it was obvious she didn't want to go back to her dorm just yet. Seeing right through her, Leo chuckled and said casually, even though I'm not drunk, my head's still a little fuzzy. As my neighbor, it wouldn't be too much to ask for you to walk with me to the track to clear my head, right? Not at all. Little Leo, you're the one who asked me. A small smile played on Leo's lips. You wanted to go too, but you just wouldn't say it. You had to make me the bad guy with the unneighborly thoughts. The lights at the track were already off, with only the faint moonlight illuminating the ground. They could occasionally see couples emerging from the small grove of trees nearby. This time, Isabelle was the one to speak first. Leo, what have you been busy with all week? I invested in a media studio started by Junior. I spent most of my free time this week signing contracts. Oh, and Kevin and I sold the channel we started in the Black Fork region. Oh, no wonder you haven't been asking your neighbor to go for walks at night. Her voice was cool, but it carried a hint of loneliness. How could Leo not see it? He put his hands behind his head and said nonchalantly, well, the contract stuff is all done, so my evening should be free. I can ask you to go for walks anytime. Once I get to know the people at the studio better, you can come visit. They have computers there. When no one's around, we can play some games. Oh, there's a female upperclassman. Leo's eyes widened. Damn it. The point was the studio. Why is your focus on the female upperclassman? In the end, they wandered past the small grove of trees several times. Even though it was past 11, CPI didn't have a curfew, so there were still plenty of couples making out in the dark. The wet, smacking sounds echoed in the quiet air. The noise made Leo feel hot all over, his mind filling with very unneighborly thoughts. He cleared his throat. Ahem, it's getting late. I should walk you back to your dorm. When they arrived in front of the girls' dorm, Isabelle suddenly pointed to a wooden bench nearby. Leo, my feet hurt. I want to rest for a bit. Huh, we're just a few steps from the dorm. You're wearing a skirt. You'll get eaten alive by mosquitoes if you sit there. Isabelle didn't say anything. She just looked at him with her big, shimmering eyes. Unable to resist her silent form of begging, Leo caved instantly. No problem. Sit. Let's go sit. Watching Leo walk quickly toward the bench, Isabelle seemed to make a decision, her breathing growing heavier. She took a deep breath, licked her lips, and hurried to catch up. Under the dark sky, Leo and Isabelle sat on the wooden bench near her dorm. The only sound was the occasional chirp of cicadas. Isabelle slipped off her shoes, letting her feet dangle in the air. The usual coolness was gone from her face, replaced by a serene expression. In that moment, Leo saw her not as the untouchable campus queen or the heiress to the Thornton fortune, but simply as a beautiful girl next door. Thump, thump, thump. Looking at her profile, Leo's heart began to race, and his left eyelid started twitching again. He'd felt it since he woke up that morning, but he still couldn't figure out what it meant. In the silence, Isabelle suddenly spoke. Leo. Yeah? What's up? Leo calmed his racing heart and looked at her. Isabelle pursed her lips, staring at him with a faint smile. Neighbor, boyfriend. What's the difference between those two relationships? Leo hadn't expected her to bring up such a sensitive topic. The difference between a neighbor and a boyfriend? To most people, the two were worlds apart. But for him and Isabelle, the lines seemed to be blurred. Leo thought for a moment before answering seriously. Well, the difference is pretty big, depending on how you look at it. But simply put, a good neighborly relationship can be the strongest kind of friendship. A romantic relationship involves love. There's no element of like between purely platonic neighbors, but a couple likes each other. I guess that's the biggest difference. Is that so? Yeah. Why do you ask all of a sudden? Isabelle just shook her head, the smile never leaving her face. She propped herself up with her hands on the bench, swinging her feet back and forth. Leo couldn't guess what she was thinking. He couldn't even hear her inner thoughts. He had realized a while ago that he could only hear her thoughts when they directly contradicted her cool exterior, not all the time. After a few more minutes of silence, she asked another question. Leo, if one day you met someone you really, really liked, what would you do? The question hit Leo like a punch to the gut. He looked at her casual demeanor, and didn't know how to answer. What would he do? He reviewed the past few months. What had he done? It felt like he'd done everything but confess his feelings, all while stubbornly denying them. Seeing him speechless, Isabelle didn't get angry. She just scooted a little closer, her scent filling the air around him. She continued to swing her feet as she looked up at the moon. The soft moonlight illuminated her face, making her breathtakingly beautiful. Leo stared at her, mesmerized, his heart pounding in his chest again. After a long moment, Isabelle turned her head slightly to look at him and said softly, if I met someone I really, really liked, I think I want to hold onto him tightly. A night breeze rustled the leaves in the trees. Just when Leo thought she was about to say the 4 words that would leave him with no room to escape, she simply stopped swinging her legs. Her toes touched the tips of her shoes on the ground. As she turned to him, her eyes curving into a smile. Leo, are you drunk? Leo felt numb, almost robotic as he replied, no. I told you, you can't get drunk on beer. But I am. Right, you're Drew. MMPH. Leo's eyes flew wide open. The warm pressure on his lips sent his mind into a complete blank. Time seemed to freeze. Isabelle's eyes were closed, her long lashes trembling. He could feel her breath against his skin. The world went silent, the only sound the thunderous beating of his own heart. Her kiss was soft and fiery, full of a young woman's courage and shyness. He never would have thought that Isabelle Thornton, who seemed as cold as ice to the outside world, would so suddenly, so proactively, kiss him. Wait, I remember now. The memories flooded back, details he'd ignored now crystal clear. He finally remembered that night, weeks ago, when he'd been drunk. She hadn't taken him straight back to the dorm. She had helped him to this very same bench. And the lipstick on his mouth. It wasn't from her scribbling on him. It was from this. From her kissing him. No wonder she was so insistent that her first kiss tasted like alcohol. Because that night, he had been drinking, and his mouth had tasted strongly of it. So, they hadn't been purely platonic neighbors for a long time. It had been a purely labial friendship. As Leo was reeling from shock, she pulled away. She slowly opened her eyes, slightly out of breath, a beautiful blush spreading across her cheeks. Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Leo stared at her, the warmth of her lips still lingering on his. His voice trembled slightly. I'm not drunk tonight. I won't forget this time. Isabelle bit her lip, her smile blooming like a flower. I know you're not drunk, but I couldn't wait for you to get drunk again. An indescribable warmth and emotion surged through Leo's heart. He felt like he was dreaming, but everything around him was too real. It had all really happened, and from this moment on, it seemed he could no longer say he and Isabelle were just neighbors. So, that's why you always said your first kiss tasted like alcohol. Having spent all her courage, Isabelle now seemed as timid as a kitten, her eyes darting away nervously. Leo took a deep breath and smiled. So, I guess we're not purely platonic good neighbors anymore. Leo, you're such a jerk. I just kissed you, and you still want to be neighbors? Hearing her inner thought, Leo's grin widened. We're boyfriend and girlfriend who've made out. Huh. So, girlfriend, let me kiss you again. MMPH. Before Isabelle could react, Leo leaned in, his arm wrapping around her waist. She watched his face get closer and closer, her eyelids feeling heavy, as if she could barely keep them open. Her heart and her breath were a mess. The next second, he kissed her, smudging her already faded lipstick. Her first kiss had been a sneak attack, a surprise for both of them, but this one was no ambush. He had, after all, given her fair warning before he made his move. Did her first kiss taste like alcohol? That was Isabelle's answer. Leo's answer was different. His first kiss was sweet, a sweetness that belonged only to her. Holding her slender waist, Leo felt her body, initially tense, begin to relax and soften in his arms. If he wasn't holding her, she might have slid right off the bench. After a long moment, he pulled away. They were both breathless, their eyes locked in a sticky, sweet gaze. He looked at her flushed face, his mind filled with her soft, internal monologue. Leo kissed me. Leo kissed me. Leo, am I your girlfriend now? I'm your girlfriend. Leo, don't you ever lose me. Leo, you're back late. Did you guys go somewhere else after we left? Felix asked, just coming out of the bathroom as Leo pushed open the dorm room door. Leo shook his head, then wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. No, not really. Holy shit, what is that lipstick on your mouth? Did you make out with Isabelle Thornton? Felix immediately spotted the smoking gun, his eyes going wide with a magnitude 10 earthquake. His shout got the attention of Ned, who was already in bed. Ned poked his head out from his bunk, saw the red smudge around Leo's mouth, and his eyes grew just as wide. Leo, didn't you say you and Isabelle were purely platonic good neighbors? A pure friendship? How did you two end up making out after a few drinks? Leo grinned, trying to look cool, but he couldn't stop the smile from spreading across his face. Damn it, who knew lipstick tasted so good? He cleared his throat and glanced at the sleeping Rex. She'll keep it down. If Rex finds out Isabelle and I aren't just neighbors anymore, he'll actually explode. Felix swallowed hard. Dude, so you and Isabelle are together now. Please don't use my girlfriend's full name like that. Squeak. The door to dorm 311 opened softly. Isabelle figured that since her roommates had been drinking and it was almost midnight, they would all be asleep. But as she peeked inside, she saw the lights were still on. Her cautious entrance, which normally wouldn't have drawn attention, made all three of them turn and stare at her. Seeing that they were all awake, Isabelle's face fell. As expected, Haley immediately sensed that something major had happened. She rushed over to Isabelle, her eyes narrowed suspiciously. Isabelle, where did you and Leo go? Why are you sneaking in like you don't want to be seen? Isabelle looked guilty, her eyes flitting around. She pursed her lips and put on her usual cool expression. We went for a walk on the track. Only couples go for walks on the track at this hour. And they're usually not just walking. From what I hear, they're making out in that patch of moral ambiguity in the woods. Haley paused, her gaze fixed on Isabelle's rosy lips. Did you and Leo go make out in the woods? No, Isabelle said, her voice full of conviction. She wasn't nervous about Haley's accusation at all, because she and Leo definitely did not make out in the woods. We made out on the bench by the girls' dorm. What does that have to do with the woods by the track? Haley didn't believe her, staring intently at Isabelle's mouth. Isabelle, for her part, remained calm. Even though Leo had tasted her lipstick, she had sneakily reapplied it before coming back. There was no way Haley could tell. But then, Haley's narrowed eyes slowly widened until her pupils registered a magnitude 10 earthquake. She covered her mouth, her voice a disbelieving whisper. Isabelle, you and Leo really did kiss tonight, didn't you? At first, Haley had just been teasing her. She didn't think they had actually kissed. Sure, she knew they weren't just good neighbors, but she figured they were in that more than friends, less than lovers stage. They weren't official, so they wouldn't be hugging and kissing yet. But now, Haley wasn't so sure, because she realized Isabelle's lipstick looked freshly applied. If nothing had happened, why would she need to reapply her lipstick before coming back to the dorm? Seeing Haley's certain expression, Isabelle finally started to panic. Haley, if you two didn't do anything, then why did you just reapply your lipstick? It's because you were afraid we'd find out you two were making out. Detective Haley, on the case. Isabelle froze, realizing her clever little trick had been her undoing. Seeing that she couldn't hide it any longer, her face flushed red and she mumbled, "It was just one kiss." One kiss or million? You said it was a pure friendship. You meant purely on the lips, didn't you? You better confess now, and we'll go easy on you. When did you and Leo start dating? Haley demanded, her hands on her hips. Jesse and Zoe, hearing that Isabelle and Leo were actually together, crowded around, their faces full of eager anticipation. Okay, we're ready to start shipping. You can start talking now. When the other three girls in dorm 311 confirmed that Isabelle and Leo's relationship had evolved from purely platonic good neighbors to a kissing and hugging couple, their faces lit up with satisfied smiles. Their ship had finally sailed. Oomph. I knew you had ulterior motives when you kept refilling Leo's glass all night, Haley said, crossing her arms. Though her words were teasing, she was ecstatic inside. Finally, now she could ship them openly. Isabelle pouted. But Leo didn't get drunk. It's better that he wasn't drunk. Being tipsy like you guys were is perfect. Otherwise, even if your plan had worked, what if he woke up tomorrow and didn't remember anything? That's true. Isabelle's face tensed. She immediately remembered how Leo had completely forgotten she'd kissed him last time. So, it was actually a good thing he hadn't been drunk tonight. At that thought, a happy smile spread across her face. Haley and the others had rarely seen Isabelle smile so sweetly, and their hearts melted all over again. Turns out Isabelle wasn't so cold after all. She just hadn't found the right person to melt her heart. Haley grinned. Hee hee, we were always calling you two lovebirds, and now you actually are. The comment made Isabelle's eyes sparkle with delight. It was a good thing Haley didn't work for Thornton Industries, or Isabelle would have personally told the finance department to give her a massive raise this month. The next day was Saturday. Since all four guys in dorm 415 had been drinking the night before and had number 8 a.m. classes, they all turned off their alarms and slept in. Leo, in particular, had been so excited after his first real kiss that he'd tossed and turned for hours, unable to fall asleep. So, he was sleeping very soundly. Rex, however, had passed out before 10, so he was the first to wake up. Seeing the other three still asleep, he booted up his computer to farm some noobs in a low-ranked game lobby. Half an hour later, around 10, Felix and Ned also woke up. Felix chuckled. Well, look who's awake. Your tolerance really is something else, Rex. Getting drunk on beer. Impressive. Shut the hell up. Rex's face turned red. He couldn't believe he'd actually gotten drunk on beer. He was never going to brag about his tolerance again. So embarrassing. Ned also chimed in, saying that back home, someone with Rex's tolerance wouldn't even be allowed to sit at the kids' table. He'd have to sit with the dogs. This got Rex so worked up he was practically bouncing off the walls. But seeing that all his noise hadn't woken Leo, he regained his confidence and grew bold again. Why are you two making fun of me? Leo's even more wasted than I am. My tolerance might suck, but at least I wake up fast. Leo, on the other hand, can't hold his liquor and he sleeps in. He always wakes up later than me. Felix and Ned glanced at Leo's bunk. He was indeed still asleep. The three of them were being pretty loud, and he hadn't stirred, which meant he must be out cold. Rex had been unconscious and didn't know what happened later that night, but Felix and Ned did. They immediately guessed that the reason Leo was still asleep was because he'd been too excited to sleep and had stayed up late. If I knew it. I'm definitely not the one with the worst tolerance in this dorm. Seeing the other two go quiet, Rex thought he had them cornered and started rambling on, saying he might have to sit with the kids, but Leo was the one who belonged with the dogs. Ned couldn't take it anymore. He said in a low voice, Rex, Leo wasn't even drunk. You're the only one who can get drunk on beer. Nonsense. If he wasn't drunk, why is he still asleep? Is it so hard to admit my tolerance is better than his? Ned hesitated, but ultimately decided to tell Rex the truth. Actually, Leo and Isabelle officially got together last night. I think they even made out. He was probably too excited to sleep. Leo and Isabelle were together. They made out. Too excited to sleep. Rex stood frozen, his mind buzzing. The words were all English, but strung together they made no sense. Shit, this can't be real. Rex forced a smile, but it looked more like a grimace. He turned to Felix, his voice trembling. Felix, tell me. Tell me Ned is lying, right? No, it's true. Ah! Rex let out a shriek like a firework, then collapsed to his knees in despair. No matter how deeply Leo was sleeping, Rex's piercing scream was enough to wake him. What the hell? Who's screaming their head off in here this morning? Leo sat up in bed, grumbling, and saw Rex kneeling on the floor in utter despair, with Felix and Ned looking at him sympathetically. Damn, Rex, what's wrong? I mean, getting drunk on beer is embarrassing, but you don't have to be this dramatic about it. A low tolerance can be cute. Leo, I hate you. Leo was confused and looked at Felix and Ned for an explanation. Felix gave a wry smile. He found out about you and Isabelle. I don't think he's taking it well. Oh, Leo chuckled, relieved it was nothing serious. But thinking back to the 2 kisses he'd shared with his neighbor last night, he couldn't help but savor the memory. He just couldn't believe she had already kissed him weeks ago, and he'd been naive enough to think she was just messing with him with lipstick. Wait a second. It's not technically wrong. applying it directly with her mouth still counts as applying it, right? Leo froze for a second, then had to hand it to her. That clever girl. No wonder she wasn't nervous at all when he'd questioned her back then. Meanwhile, Rex was still on his knees, his face a mask of misery. Leo, how could you? We were supposed to be single together, and you went and got a girlfriend behind my back. I don't even have a girlfriend yet. After getting washed up, Leo finally checked his phone. He had a message from Isabelle, sent an hour ago. Isabelle, Leo, are you up? He quickly replied. Leo just woke up. What are you doing? He expected to wait a while for a response, but it was as if she had been waiting by her phone. The reply was instantaneous. Isabelle, I was going to ask my boyfriend to get breakfast, but now Lester is driving me back to the estate. My dad is in Crestview. Leo, then does my girlfriend want to get lunch? Isabelle, your girlfriend won't be back on campus until tonight. Leo couldn't help but smile at the messages. Before, they had been so secretive. Now that they were together, they couldn't seem to emphasize their boyfriend and girlfriend status enough. Hearing she wouldn't be back until the evening, he had to let it go. Leo, all right then, girlfriend. We'll get dinner tonight. Miss, you seem to be in a particularly good mood today. It's been a long, long time since I've seen you this happy, Lester said, his eyes glancing at the rearview mirror. Isabelle Thornton had been smiling nonstop since she'd gotten in the car. He remembered the last time she'd looked this pleased was months ago, when he'd secured the lease on the house next to Leo Yeager's. Really? Isabelle asked, her smile widening. Yes, miss. You truly look happy. Did something wonderful happen with Mr. Yeager? Lester, every day I spend with Leo is a happy day. I see, miss. Lester paused for a second. At his age, he could guess what that meant, and a sense of relief washed over him. Before, no matter how good Isabelle's mood was, it would invariably turn cold and distant whenever they drove back to the estate to see her father and his second wife. But today, even with both of them waiting, her smile hadn't faded. Today was different. It seemed as Miss had finally gotten what she'd been wishing for with Mr. Yeager. No, he corrected himself. From now on, it would be Mr. Son-in-law. A few miles from the Thornton estate, Lester chose his words carefully. Miss, about that matter you asked me to look into, I have an answer. It was one of the maids. She got some information out of you. The maid works for Mrs. Thornton, so I can't fire her directly without upsetting your father. However, I've had the estate manager reassign her. He paused again. I also sent Hugh home for a month to think things over and docked his pay for 3 months. If you no longer wish to have him as part of your detail, I can handle the arrangements. Isabelle wasn't surprised. Though she maintained a cool, aloof image with the staff, she was perceptive. She'd already had her suspicions before asking Lester to investigate. She sighed softly. It's all right, Lester. 1 month is enough. You don't have to dock his pay. But miss, this is... Lester had expected her to be lenient, but not this much. He was about to protest when Isabelle spoke again. However, from now on, I don't want Ron and Hugh as my personal bodyguards. I'm in college now, and I'm rarely out and about by myself. And when I am, I have you and Leo. Let them stay at the estate like the rest of the staff. Isabelle gazed out the window, her eyes glinting. She could be soft-hearted, but she couldn't tolerate betrayal. Lester was taken aback for a moment before nodding gently. I understand, miss. I'll begin looking for their replacements immediately. Lester, I said you're enough. For once, Lester shook his head, gently refusing her order. Miss, if this were 10 years ago, that would be fine. But I'm in my 50s now. I'm not as strong as I used to be. It's too dangerous for you to be without proper security. Isabelle's brow furrowed. Nothing has ever happened before. I'll be fine without them. A flash of hesitation crossed Lester's face. He opened his mouth, then closed it, worried his next words could get him fired. But the thought of her safety won out. Miss, you're right, he said, his voice firm. But things are different now. How are they different? Mrs. Thornton is pregnant. Isabelle's lips pressed into a thin line. She turned her head, watching the scenery blur past the window, and said nothing more. At the Crestview Polytechnic Institute cafeteria, Leo and his 3 roommates were eating while he flipped through the proposal Sean Shao had given him. Rex Gao, meanwhile, was still fuming, shooting resentful glares at Leo every few seconds. This bastard. How dare he get a girlfriend before me? Me. I'm the master of picking up girls. Leo, I can't accept this, Rex finally blurted out. Leo didn't even look up. Can't accept what? How you got a girlfriend before me? I'm the undisputed pickup artist of room 415. Yeah, right, Leo scoffed. Not a single girl has asked for your number since the semester started. And you're a pickup artist? Is that supposed to be a joke? They just don't recognize quality when they see it. Rex insisted. Leo shrugged. Fine, fine. I don't even try to pick up girls anyway. Isabelle moved in next door on her own. She kissed me first. Then we made it official. So what? So nothing. I don't chase girls, but I have a girlfriend. Damn it. Rex was getting so worked up he couldn't even eat. Just then, Felix Fong pushed up his glasses and peered at the document in Leo's hands. What's that you're reading, Leo? You've been looking at it all week. Oh, nothing much. I invested in a startup run by a couple of upperclassmen. This is their business plan. I'm supposed to give them some feedback and help map out the next steps. Felix's eyes widened. The word invest sounded foreign and impossibly adult to a college student. You're starting a business? Something like that. Seeing Leo's casual attitude, Rex snorted. Investing is risky, Leo, especially in students who haven't even graduated. My dad always says you can invest in anyone but college students. You'll be lucky to get your principal back. But it's no big deal. You probably only put in a few thousand, maybe 10 or 20 grand at most, right? Yeah, not much. Just 250,000. Rex felt the blood drain from his face. He wanted to smack himself. Damn it. I almost forgot this jerk made a killing over the summer. $250,000 is not much? Holy crap, Leo. $250K. Felix exclaimed. Suddenly, I'm thinking the rich kid in our room isn't Rex, it's you. He had a point. Their monthly allowances were between $1,200 and $1,500. And here was their own roommate, casually dropping $250,000 on an investment. That was way more of a flex than anything Rex had ever done. Besides, Rex's family was rich, but the money wasn't his. His parents were strict, and his allowance was only $1,000 or $2,000 more than theirs. Leo just laughed. That's pretty much my entire net worth. If you want to talk about real money, you got to look at our boy Rex here. Finally, you say something that makes me happy. Rex puffed out his chest. Yeah. So, you're buying lunch then, right, rich boy? What? Rex stared, then unleashed a stream of curses. This guy wasn't just a pain in the ass. He was a masterclass, grade A asshole. After lunch, Leo took the business plan and headed for room 405 in the Fletcher Arts and Design building. Pushing the door open, he saw Ruby Yu and the quiet Don Run, each focused intently on their computer screens. Hearing the door, they both assumed it was Sharon. Sharon, those two scriptwriters are coming by at 3, Ruby said without turning around, her fingers still flying across the keyboard. They said they finished the script for the first video. Ahem, it's me, Ruby. Huh. Ruby stopped typing and swiveled in her chair. A wide smile spread across her face when she saw Leo. Oh, hey, Leo. I thought you were Sharon. Is Sharon out? Leo asked, a little surprised. Every other time he dropped by on a weekend, Sharon had been there, a clear sign of how dedicated he was to the studio. Don Run, who rarely spoke, answered softly. He pulled an all-nighter here. Didn't get back to his dorm until after 8 this morning. He's probably still sleeping. Leo was even more surprised. He hadn't realized Sharon was working himself that hard. But from an investor's perspective, it was reassuring. If the guy in charge was that committed, the team was probably solid. He's really pushing himself, Leo remarked. Yeah, he's the most passionate one of all of us, Ruby said. He was stressing about funding, but your investments solved that. The new scriptwriters will be here soon with the final draft. Now all we need are the actors. Right. I don't know if Sean told you, but besides being an investor, I'm also going to be handling market research and content strategy. Ruby nodded. He mentioned it. Good. I actually came by today to talk to him about casting for the videos. Ruby looked surprised. You've already found people? Are they students here at CPI? Yep. Leo held back the answer, saying he'd wait for Sean to arrive. A little while later, Quinn Fan, the studio's other videographer, showed up. Leo had met him when he signed the contract with Sean. Quinn was handsome, the kind of guy who probably got asked for his number constantly. At first, Leo had stereotyped him as the slacker of the group, but after spending some time with him, he realized Quinn was just as dedicated as Sean. Hey, Leo's here, Quinn said cheerfully. Come on in and have a seat. You're our biggest shareholder now. Thanks to you, the boss can finally stop worrying about money. All the new equipment and props are on their way. Leo smiled. You don't have to be so formal, Quinn. Nah, don't call me that, it's weird. Just Quinn is fine. Leo didn't press the issue, simply calling him Quinn. Around 2 o'clock, Sean finally arrived at the studio. The dark circles under his glasses were proof of his all-nighter. Sean, you can't keep doing this, Ruby chided. I know we're in the startup phase, but you can't burn yourself out. You're the boss. If something happens to you, we're screwed. Don and Quinn murmured in agreement. It was clear they were all worried about him. Sean, however, seemed unfazed. He rubbed his temples and looked at Ruby. Did you connect with the scriptwriters after I left this morning? Yep, they're both coming at 3. The first script is done. Sean nodded. Okay, so equipment and script are set. We just need to lock down the actors. Right, but Leo said he already has people in mind. Oh, Sean looked at Leo, intrigued. He'd been planning to spend the next few days finding a couple of professional short-form video actors. He hadn't expected Leo to have that covered already. Seeing all four of them looking at him, Leo smiled. All right, since everyone's here, I'll share my thoughts. He continued, I've been going over the proposal you guys wrote, and I don't see any major issues with the overall planning. You're the experts in this field, far more than I am. But since we're focusing on story-driven content for our channel, I spent the last few days analyzing a ton of accounts in that space. Broadly, they fall into two categories. First, you have serialized, plot-driven videos that are released in episodes. Each one ends on a cliffhanger or a hook that makes viewers desperate for the next part. The follower loyalty is insane. Second, you have channels where one person plays multiple characters in self-contained skits. The videos aren't connected plot-wise, but the character archetypes are consistent. As Leo spoke, Sean nodded in agreement. The first type is extremely dependent on a flawless script, Leo went on. And you can't just abandon a long-form story if one episode flops. That would kill the channel. But shooting a complete series takes a lot of time and money, which is tough for a new studio like ours. We don't have the resources, and it's easy to burn out. The second type, the one-off skit model, is more forgiving. If a video bombs, it doesn't matter because the next one's a whole new bit. I think we should start with this model to build our audience. But this type of channel requires a consistent cast of actors, usually a small group playing multiple roles. He paused, then delivered his conclusion. So, I don't think we need to hire outside actors. I propose that Ruby plays the recurring female lead, and Quinn plays the main male lead. That way, we save money up front, and it makes it way easier for us to communicate about character development and plot points on the fly. After Leo announced his casting choice, the room fell into a stunned silence. Leo, you're not joking, are you? Ruby exclaimed. Leo shook his head. Of course not. If we hire actors, we need a long-term commitment. If we use other students, even if we pay them well, they won't have the same dedication as the founders. They might quit if something else comes up. And if we hire professional actors from off-campus, we'd have to sign a long-term contract to guarantee their availability. We just can't afford that right now. But if you and Quinn are the actors, none of those problems exist. Everyone was quiet, thinking it over. They knew Leo was right about the logistical issues, but the biggest problem was that neither Ruby nor Quinn had any on-camera experience. Leo saw their concern and smiled reassuringly. I know you're worried about experience, but all those TikTok stars were amateurs before they blew up, right? Besides, our focus is on the story. This is short-form video, not a professional short film or a web series. You don't need Oscar-worthy acting skills. He's right, Sean said, snapping out of his surprise. He built on Leo's point, adding his own perspective. After some deliberation, they decided to let Ruby and Quinn give it a try. They were just starting out. Trial and error was part of the process. If the first couple of videos didn't take off, it wasn't a big deal. They could just create a new account and try a different script. At 3 o'clock, the two scriptwriters arrived. Leo and the team spent the next few hours hashing out the details of the first script, making edits and suggestions. Phew. At 6 in the evening, with the first script finally locked in, Ruby collapsed onto the sofa. I'm exhausted. This is way more complicated than I thought. I figured we'd just shoot the script and edit, but getting the script itself finalized was a marathon. Sean walked the writers out and returned, his expression serious. All right, now that everything's ready, let's plan to shoot tomorrow. It's a campus life story, so I'll talk to the facilities manager tonight and see if we can borrow a classroom. Ugh, a whole weekend and we still have to work. Quinn sighed dramatically. But when your work was also your passion, it wasn't really torture. Seeing their energy, Leo couldn't help but smile. Everything was falling into place. Once the first video was shot and edited, they'd upload it to TikTok. If it took off, his first entrepreneurial venture would be a success. Just then his phone buzzed. It was a message from his favorite neighbor. Boyfriend, I'm on my way back to campus. Okay, I'm at the studio, Fletcher Arts 405. Let me know when you're close, and I'll come meet you. Leo's lips curled into a smile as he texted her back. Ruby, catching the look, narrowed her eyes and sauntered over, a cloud of perfume following her. Ooh, who are you texting that's got you so happy? She purred. My girlfriend. Even though Leo knew from Sean that Ruby wasn't interested in guys, he still felt a little uncomfortable and subtly shifted away. This was the first time since he and Isabelle made it official that he'd openly admitted it to someone. Ruby tossed her hair back. Oh, you have a girlfriend? Got a picture? Let me see. I'll give you my expert opinion. My expert opinion? Please. If I didn't know you were into girls, I might have actually believed that. Ahem, we just got together. No pictures yet. I don't believe you. Even if you don't have a photo together, doesn't she ever take selfies? Well, My girlfriend doesn't really like taking pictures. T.C.H., you know fun, Leo. Leo gave an awkward laugh and stayed quiet. He suddenly realized that having Ruby in the studio was a double-edged sword. On one hand, Isabelle had nothing to worry about. Ruby wasn't a threat to their relationship. But a new problem had emerged. Ruby was a threat to Leo. If Ruby ever found out how stunning Isabelle was, all hell would break loose. With that thought, Leo made a silent vow. Ruby must never, ever meet his girlfriend. As Ruby walked away, Quinn immediately slid into her place. Glancing over at her, he leaned in and whispered, Leo, whatever you do, do not introduce your girlfriend to Ruby. 2 of her 3 roommates have been converted. None of us in the studio dare let her meet any of our female friends. It's a disaster waiting to happen. Whoa, is she really that intense? Leo's eyes went wide. A moment ago, he was worried. Now he was terrified. Quinn nodded grimly. You have no idea. Leo swallowed hard, his gaze falling on Ruby, who was now scrolling through her phone, her long auburn hair cascading over her shoulders. He shuddered. Thank God he told Isabelle to message him when she got close, not to come directly to the studio. He spent another 20 minutes discussing character details with Sharon. Just as he was about to take a break and check where Isabelle was, there was a knock on the door. Quinn got up to open it. A second later, his confused voice drifted back. Hey, can I help you? I'm looking for Leo Yeager. At the sound of that familiar voice, Leo's world tilted on its axis. A 10-point earthquake ripped through his gut. It's over. I'm looking for Leo Yeager. Hearing her voice, Leo's heart dropped. He whipped his head toward the door. Sure enough, there she was. Isabelle Thornton, standing with an expression so cool it could freeze lava. Seeing a strange guy answer the door, she took a slight step back. Quinn froze, his eyes wide with astonishment. This was Leo's girlfriend? Holy crap, the guy was eating well. This wasn't just pretty girl in the major level. This was campus queen level. Ahem, Quinn, she's with me. Leo scrambled to the door before Quinn could open it all the way, blocking Ruby's line of sight. Ruby cannot see her. She absolutely cannot. Quinn shot Leo a knowing grin and pulled the door partly shut. Leo, you better get your girlfriend out of here before Ruby sees her. A girl with looks like that. Ruby would lose her mind. I know, we're leaving, Leo said, breaking into a nervous sweat. After Quinn stepped away, Leo turned to Isabelle. Why did you come straight to the studio? I told you to message me when you got close. I did. You didn't answer. Isabelle pouted, a hint of grievance in her tone. Huh? Leo blinked, pulling out his phone. And there it was, a message from her, sent 10 minutes ago. He'd been so absorbed in his discussion with Sharon that he hadn't noticed the vibration. So, when he didn't reply, she'd just come to find him. Before Leo could say anything, Isabelle narrowed her eyes, her voice unreadable. Leo, why did that guy just say Ruby shouldn't see me? Is she the one from your studio? Yeah, but, look, it's a long story. Let's get out of here first, and I'll explain. Isabelle shook her head, standing her ground stubbornly. Leo, we just got together. Are you already hiding me and hanging out with other girls? Oh, hell. Hearing her inner thoughts, Leo felt a headache coming on. This was exactly the misunderstanding he'd wanted to avoid. It's not what you think. The thing with Ruby is... The thing with me is what? A silky, feminine voice purred as a slender hand landed on Leo's shoulder. Leo flinched. It was officially over. A second later, Ruby pushed open the door Leo had been trying to keep closed, muttering, Leo, your girlfriend is here. Aren't you going to invite her? Whoa, wait, you're Leo's girlfriend? Her words trailed off as she laid eyes on Isabelle. She froze, her entire being captivated. In an instant, her eyes filled with a galaxy of tiny pink hearts. Leo, your girlfriend is gorgeous, she shrieked. While Isabelle was still processing what was happening, Ruby surged forward and grabbed her hand like a starstruck fan. Hi, come in, come in. This is our studio. Make yourself at home. I saw you on campus the other day, and I thought you were stunning, but I had no idea you were Leo's girlfriend. What a coincidence. Leo, what's... Isabelle, overwhelmed by Ruby's intensity, looked to Leo for help. Leo could only manage a wry smile. I told you we should leave. Now we're trapped. Inside the studio, Sharon and Don were equally stunned by Isabelle's appearance, though their reactions were far more subdued than Ruby's. What's your name? Which dorm are you in? We should exchange numbers. When Leo's busy, we can hang out. Ruby gushed. Oh, and I can read palms. Give me your hand. Let me take a look. Her smile grew wider, and Leo's scalp tingled with dread. Just as he'd feared, Ruby was completely captivated. Hang out when I'm busy? Read her palm? Aren't those classic pickup lines for stealing someone's girlfriend? Since when do girls use them? The worst part was, as a girl herself, no one would call her out on it. What was wrong with girls hanging out or reading each other's palms? Ahem, Ruby, my girlfriend, a little reserved. Your enthusiasm might be a bit much for her, Leo said, quickly pulling Isabelle away from her. Isabelle looked completely bewildered. Something fell off. A moment ago, she'd been jealous, thinking Leo was hiding her from this Ruby person. But now, seeing this girl act like every predatory guy she'd ever met, she was just confused. Leo, I'd advise you not to interfere, Ruby said, her eyes narrowing into a suggestive, yet menacing smile. Leo shivered. This is my girlfriend. If I don't interfere, she's going to become your girlfriend. He couldn't let that happen. Well, I'm taking my girlfriend to dinner now. See you guys tomorrow for the shoot. Without another word, Leo grabbed Isabelle's hand and beat a hasty retreat. As they fled, Ruby chased them to the doorway, calling out in a syrupy voice, I'll find out your dorms, sweetie. I'll come visit you tonight. Leo, that girl. She's into girls. Oh, from now on, Leo said grimly, you are not allowed to come to the studio. I don't want her getting her hands on you again. Damn it, Ruby. I haven't even held my girlfriend's hand that much. And you just went for it. Okay. Isabelle nodded, her previously frosty expression melting away now that she understood. When she'd overheard Quinn and Leo whispering, she had thought he was intentionally keeping her away from his female colleague. Turns out, he was just afraid she'd get stolen away. Come on, let's go get something to eat off campus. I want to eat at the cafeteria. Leo was confused. The food here isn't bad, but it's not as good as what we can get out. I just want to eat at the school, Isabelle said, her eyes narrowing with a cool determination. And after we eat, I want to go for a walk on the track. I want to hold hands. We're a couple now. Holding hands isn't asking too much, is it? Of course it wasn't asking too much. Back when they were just purely platonic good neighbors, they had already kissed. Now that they were an official couple, holding hands was practically a requirement. All right, Leo agreed. The cafeteria, it is. Rex, it's Saturday. Why are we eating in the cafeteria? Let's go get something we can't get on campus. Felix Phone complained, trailing reluctantly behind Rex Gao with Nednyo. They wanted to go out, but Rex insisted that since Leo wasn't around, and it was dinner time, they were safer on campus. If they went to a restaurant nearby, they might run into the new couple, and he wasn't in the mood to have Leo flex on him again. The mention of Isabelle made Felix think of Zoe Chong. He'd managed to get her number at dinner the other night, but since she'd accepted his friend request, all of his attempts to start a conversation had been met with lukewarm, one-word replies. That, combined with her obvious lack of interest during the meal, told him he wasn't her type. Felix wasn't a stage 5 clinger, and he remembered the warnings left by upperclassmen in their dorm room on move-in day. So he gave up. If she wasn't interested, pursuing her would just be rude. Now, watching Rex look around nervously, terrified of being ambushed by Leo, Felix grinned. Rex, I suggest we make a run for it and eat off campus. Otherwise, you're definitely going to run into them. Nonsense, Rex said confidently. They just got together. New couples always go to restaurants. It's only after you've been dating for a while that you settle for the cafeteria. He was certain that Leo and Isabelle were dining somewhere off campus. The probability of running into them, there was 80%. On campus? 0. Felix shrugged. Rex, you can't look at Leo and Isabelle like a normal couple. They may have just made it official, but they were neighbors for a long time before this. They called themselves purely platonic good neighbors, but the whole world knew what was going on. They were the only ones pretending. Rex fell into a long, profound silence. Holy crap. He's right. Leo and Isabelle weren't a normal couple. A terrible premonition washed over him. He could almost smell the scent of Leo's shampoo. Red alert, he hissed at Felix and Ned. I think I smell Leo's smugness. Retreat. Now. Felix's expression froze, then broke into a wide grin. Too late, Rex. What? Rex stiffened as a hand clapped down on his shoulder. A voice that haunted his nightmares followed. Well, Rex. Eating in the cafeteria? It's Saturday. A rich boy like you not treating himself to a nice meal off campus. Rex's body went rigid. He turned his head with the slowness of a rusty hinge. Of course, it was Leo, smiling benevolently, and behind him stood Isabelle, her expression as cool as ever, though the absolute zero chill she usually projected seemed to have thawed a few degrees. Rex swallowed hard and forced a pained smile. Ha, Leo, what a coincidence. Leo nodded casually. Totally. Anyway, we're not going to eat with you guys today. My girlfriend and I have a table. Later. With that, Leo turned, took Isabelle's hand, and led her toward the food counters. Watching the handsome couple walk away, Rex felt like he couldn't breathe. Whoa, Rex, you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost, Felix said, startled by his friend's pale face and trembling lips. It wasn't that bad. He just said hi. Rex's voice was a strained whisper. The moment he stood in front of me holding her hand, I felt it, the flex, and it was a direct hit. After they got their food, Leo and Isabelle sat down across from each other. You came to the cafeteria on purpose, didn't you? Leo asked, studying her with narrowed eyes. You wanted everyone to know you're my girlfriend. Before they'd even gotten in line, Isabelle had spotted Rex and his friends. Though she coolly asked if Leo wanted to go say hi, her subtle gestures made it clear she was hoping he would. Then, while they were getting their food, she saw Clara Shun in the next line over and went out of her way to greet her. It suddenly clicked. This was all a calculated move. Isabelle's expression remained frosty. Leo, I'm not that much of an exhibitionist. Oh no, he figured out. Leo's lips twitched into a smirk. Could you be any more obvious? While they were eating, he finally had a chance to ask what her father and stepmother had said when she was at the estate. At the mention of them, Isabelle's mood visibly soured, but she answered him. My father said that after he and my stepmother return to New York, they won't be coming back to Crestview for a while. She pressed her lips together. Not until after the baby is born. Leo fell silent. It was clear that his work hadn't been Richard Thornton's only priority before. He had occasionally taken time to visit Isabelle. But ever since her stepmother got pregnant, he'd shifted his focus entirely to New York. Now, he was giving up even those rare visits to stay by his new wife's side. His priority wasn't his work, and it certainly wasn't Isabelle. It was his pregnant wife and their unborn child. How could that not hurt? They were both his children, but his future son or daughter was already receiving more paternal love than Isabelle had ever known. And it made one thing painfully clear. It wasn't that her father didn't have time to love her. He just didn't. It's okay, Leo said, his tone deliberately light to break the heavy silence. We're at school now. We can see each other every day. Okay, boyfriend, Isabelle replied, her eyes softening as she looked down and took small bites of her food. Her thoughts, however, flooded Leo's mind. You idiot. I'm stronger than you think. And now that I have you, I'm starting to feel safe. Phew. Rex Gao let out a long breath as he walked out of the cafeteria, the tension finally leaving his shoulders. Ever since he'd spotted Leo and Isabelle, his eyes had been drawn to their table against his will. Seeing them laughing and talking had made him sick with envy. Now that he was outside, he felt a world lighter. Man, it's so much better when that jerk isn't around. Come on, Rex, Ned Nyo said, defending his friend. Don't always assume Leo's trying to flex on you. I think you're just too competitive. Most of the time, he's not trying to show off at all. You're just sensitive. Yeah, Ned's right, Felix added, pushing up his glasses. Rex scoffed. You two don't get it. Leo and I are the same kind of people. I know when he's trying to rub it in my face. Just then, a girl with long hair, wearing a white button-down and a gray pleated skirt, walked straight toward them, a shy look on her face. Rex's eyes widened. It's happening. My time has finally come. Look, he whispered, barely containing his excitement. 12 o'clock. She's definitely coming to ask for my number. Get real, Rex, Felix said dismissively. You've said that at least 10 times since we got here. Every single one of them was coming for Leo. The girl looked like a sophomore or even a junior. If no freshmen were asking for Rex's number, Felix highly doubted an upperclassman would. But this time, Felix and Ned were in for a shock. The girl stopped right in front of Rex. Her cheeks were slightly flushed, but she lacked the nervous hesitation of a freshman. She bit her lip and said softly, Hi, I'm a sophomore in the business school. Can I get your number? Felix and Ned stared, their mouths agape in disbelief. Rex, however, was in his element. He put on a show of reluctance. I'm a freshman. Isn't it a little forward to just give you my number? Oh, you misunderstood. The girl stammered, her face turning even redder. I just want to be friends. After letting her squirm for a moment, Rex sighed dramatically. All right, if it's just to be friends, I guess that's okay. Great. Thank you. The girl got his number and practically skipped away, overjoyed. Rex immediately dropped the act and shot a triumphant grin at Felix and Ned. Huh, see? My charm is irresistible. A sophomore. All the girls asking for Leo's number are freshmen, but I got an upperclassman. Felix and Ned were still stunned. Holy crap, the bastard actually pulled it off. Ned scratched his head. Huh, guess Rex wasn't bluffing this time. Felix pushed his glasses up. The man has finally made a sale. You win this round, Rex. What was the highest form of praise between guys? A begrudging sigh, a moment of silence, and a reluctant, you win. Rex smugly pulled out his phone, showing them the friend request that had just come in. See? Learn from the master. You never accept right away. It makes you look desperate. Let her wait. Add her tonight before you go to sleep. That way, you're the last person she talks to, which makes a stronger impression. Also, fun fact, women are more emotional at night. Hit her with some deconversation then, and she'll be hooked. Felix just scoffed. The theory sounded plausible, but it felt hollow. Leo's approach was better. All those girls had asked for his number, and he hadn't added a single one. That kind of Sigma male behavior was just cooler. Come on, Rex announced, throwing his arms out. I'm in a great mood. I'm treating you too. Let's hit the food truck park. Even though they'd just eaten, he was determined to celebrate. All the way there, he waxed poetic about his magnetic charm, while Ned and Felix offered sarcastic comments, punctuated by enthusiastic declarations that Rex was, in fact, the coolest guy on campus, at least until the free food was gone. At 10 o'clock that night, the door to room 415 creaked open and a beaming Leo walked in, his face flushed and a faint red smudge lingering at the corner of his mouth. Before anyone could say a word, Leo strolled over to Rex's desk and grinned. Rex, how did you know I was making out? What? Rex started, about to unleash a tirade, but then he remembered his own victory. He composed himself instantly. Just as he was about to blow a gasket, something clicked. He quickly schooled his features, his tone becoming breezy. Oh, couples kiss. It's normal. What's the big deal? It was Leo's turn to be confused. Wait, that didn't get to him? This is not right. Seeing Leo's baffled expression, Rex smiled smugly. You didn't get me, Leo. But now it's my turn to get you. Tonight, a sophomore asked for my number, and she was wearing a cute pleated skirt. Leo's eyebrows shot up. Was she blind? Screw you. She was perfectly normal and gorgeous. You just can't stand to see me win, can you? Rex was on the verge of seeing red, but Leo didn't believe him and looked to Felix and Ned for confirmation. They both nodded. Now Leo was genuinely surprised. Whoa, Rex, for real. Let me see your phone. What have you guys been talking about? Oomph. I'm too cool to add her right away, so I haven't even accepted the request yet, Rex bragged. But since you want to see a master at work, I'll show you. With that, Rex took out his phone and, in front of all three of them, accepted the girl's friend request. Hi, this is Rex Gao, freshman, School of Finance. Rex typed out the message and hit send, then looked at his roommates with an all-knowing expression. Rule number 1 of picking up girls. When you first add them, keep it brief and don't act thirsty. Otherwise, you immediately lower your value. You have to maintain an air of mystery. Girls are curious creatures. Once the mystery is gone, so is the novelty. He held his phone, waiting for her reply, the picture of confidence. For a moment, Leo and the others had the strange feeling they were in the presence of an actual expert. Soon, a reply came through. Hey Rex, I'm Melody Chung, sophomore in business management. Nice to meet you. Tongue sticking out. Seeing her enthusiastic response, Rex's grin stretched from ear to ear. This is it. This is my script. I may have been overshadowed by Leo at the start of the semester, but my time has come. Ned rubbed his nose. So what do you say now, Rex? Nothing, Rex said coolly, staring at the chat window with no intention of replying. Leo scoffed. Come on, Rex, don't overdo it. If you don't reply, she's going to think you're not interested and unfriend you. No. Your thinking is too small, Leo. Unfazed, Rex pulled a cigarette from his pocket and lit it, taking a long drag. Your theory only applies when both parties are on equal footing. But that's not our situation. She approached me. I acted hesitant, but she persisted. From that moment, the scales tipped. She's already in the subordinate position. And her reply wasn't cold. She even added an emoji. She's clearly trying to be approachable, but she didn't ask a follow-up question, which means she's debating whether to initiate again. Rex snapped his fingers. It's been 2 minutes. Her hesitation period is almost over. I predict that within the next 60 seconds, she'll give in and message me again. His detailed, logical breakdown left the other three speechless. They were starting to see the perpetually posturing Rex in a new light. Felix's jaw was slack. Rex, where did you learn all this? It actually sounds legit. Please, I was born with it. I would have shown you my true power sooner, but Leo was cramping my style. But it's not too late. If you guys want to learn, I'll teach you everything I know. Yeah, but what if you're wrong, Ian? Holy crap. Felix's doubt was cut short as a new message popped up on Rex's screen. Melody had messaged him again. Rex, are you busy? You're taking a while to reply. The whole room, including Leo, was stunned. Damn it, he actually called it. Whoa, Rex, you're for real. Leo said, dumbfounded. Seeing their reactions, Rex was practically floating. He took another drag of his cigarette to calm himself, then casually picked up his phone and typed a reply. Sorry, I wasn't ignoring you. I was in the campus garage, cleaning my car. Just got back to my dorm. He sent the message, followed by a picture he'd taken a few weeks ago in the parking garage. His roommates collectively groaned. "Rex, you never miss a chance to flex, do you?" Leo said, rolling his eyes. "Seriously," Felix and Ned chimed in. Rex was unbothered. "It's my car, and I did take that picture after cleaning it. I just fudged the timeline a little. Besides," he said, gesturing with his phone, "this is how you subtly reveal your assets. Take notes, you amateurs. The transition has to be smooth, so she doesn't feel like you're deliberately showing off. See how seamless that was?" As if on cue, another message came from Melody. "Wow, you have your own car? I recognize that. It's a Mercedes, right?" "Yep. I thought you had good style when I first saw you tonight. You seem like you come from a good family." Her admiring tone sent Rex over the moon. The other three couldn't watch anymore. He was insufferable enough on a normal day, but now that he'd actually succeeded at something, he was unbearable. Just as they were about to walk away, Rex suddenly yelled, "No way," drawing their attention back. He was gripping his phone, his eyes wide. A new message from Melody was on the screen. "Hey, is that shirt you were wearing tonight from that niche Japanese brand?" Rex pointed at the message, a triumphant smirk on his face. "See? She definitely just looked up the brand online. It's too obscure for most people to know. She's already trying to learn more about me, looking for common ground. If I'm not mistaken, she's about to ask me to order one for her. That way, she creates a reason to talk to me every day for the next week, asking for shipping updates. Her game is not bad." After explaining this to his roommates, he quickly replied, "Yeah, you can't buy it in the US. You know the brand?" Her reply was instant. "I do. Could you help me order one?" The response sent a 10-point earthquake through Leo, Felix, and Ned. In unison, they all mouthed, "No way." "Rex, how are you so good at this?" Rex's grin was a mile wide as he typed back, "No problem. What size? I can hit up my proxy in Japan for you right now. An XL, I think. It's for a guy I like. His birthday is at the end of the month, and he's a big fan of the brand. I want to give it to him as a gift." A single, weak question mark materialized in Rex's mind. In the next second, he felt his nose start to grow, turning a bright, clownish red. "So, I'm the Joker, the king of fools, the main attraction at the circus. The guy I like. He's a big fan. A gift for him." The words transformed into invisible daggers, plunging deep into his chest. His body went rigid, the smug smile frozen on his face. "Ha ha ha." After a moment of stunned silence, Leo and the others lost it completely. They pointed at Rex, howling with laughter, slapping their thighs. A minute ago, they had been in awe of Rex's brilliant analysis. Now they saw it for what it was, a masterpiece of wishful thinking. Melody wasn't interested in him at all. She already had a crush. Felix was laughing so hard tears streamed down his face. He gasped for air and slapped Rex on the back. "Rex, Gotham's got nothing on you. You're the star of the circus, the king of clowns." Leo wiped a tear from his eye. "Hey, it's okay, Rex. Your analysis was just a little off, but that's fine. You may not be a pickup artist, but you're a hell of an actor." He put on a serious face. "Some people think Heath Ledger was the best Joker. Others prefer Joaquin Phoenix. But the three of us know the truth. You, my dear roommate, are the greatest Joker of all time." His friend's mockery was a physical pain in Rex's chest. What the hell is wrong with that girl? If she already likes someone, why did she act so shy when she asked for my number? Does my pride mean nothing? He silently lit another cigarette, the light in his eyes extinguished. Forget it. Being a rich kid is overrated anyway. Then he noticed that Ned was just laughing, not piling on with insults like Leo and Felix. A wave of gratitude washed over him. In his darkest hour, at least the simple, honest guy in the room had his back. "Ned, you're the only real one here. Not like these two hyenas." Ned just frowned and took a step back. "I just don't know as many jokes as they do. I think you're clown too." Rex's heart shattered. He could have cried. "Dude, what is wrong with you?" After the chaos died down, Rex was a broken man. He sat at his computer, a cigarette dangling from his lips, ignoring the messages from Melody. It was like his soul had left his body. The other three left him alone, knowing he'd bounce back. He always did. After showering, Leo saw in the Starfall Studios group chat that Sharon was coordinating with Ruby and the others for the morning shoot. He chimed in with a few thoughts. Just then, a message came from Isabelle. "Leo, I just finished getting ready for bed. What are you up to?" "Just shower too. Talking with Sharon and Ruby about the shoot tomorrow." "Oh, okay. You can get back to it then." Leo couldn't help but smile. He continued his discussion in the group chat, but his mind was replaying the evening. After dinner, they had walked hand in hand around the track. After only 2 laps, Isabelle had narrowed her eyes, complained her legs were sore, and pulled him into the small grove of trees next to the bleachers, the biggest moral dead zone on campus. He'd left with his lips stained red. In the group chat, Ruby typed, "Sean, tomorrow is weekend, and it's also the start of Club Rush. Were you able to book a classroom for us?" "Should be fine," Sean replied. "I talked to the facilities manager. He'll let me know for sure by 9 a.m. Great. After the shoot, I have to stop by my club's table." Once the conversation about the shoot wrapped up, Leo went silent. It wasn't that he didn't want to be closer to them, but he was keenly aware of his position. As the primary investor, he had the most say. If he got too friendly with everyone, it could compromise his judgment when a tough business decision needed to be made. Friendships born from work could be dangerous. His goal was to build a successful business, and to do that, he needed to maintain a professional distance. Is this what they mean by sacrifice? He thought with a wry smile, lying in bed. This calculated approach didn't feel like him, but for the business, for Isabelle, it was necessary. He was about to message Isabelle when Felix spoke up from the bunk below. "Hey guys, I just saw on the school subreddit that Club Rush starts tomorrow and runs for 3 days. I heard some of the clubs here are awesome, full of pretty upperclassmen and well-connected seniors. Joining the right one could really pay off." The light returned to Rex's eyes. "Quick, Felix, find out which club has the most hot upperclassmen. I'm signing up." Leo chuckled. Sure enough, less than an hour after his tragic downfall, the rich boy was back. Just then his phone vibrated. It was Isabelle, who hadn't heard back from him yet. He opened their chat, and his breath caught in his throat. Leo, are you done with work yet?" Her big, round eyes blink playfully, her little nose wrinkles, and her long curly hair falls around her small, delicate frame. She nervously clutches the lace trim of her pajamas, waiting for her boyfriend to reply. In room 311 of the girls' dorm, Isabelle looked at Haley Xia, her eyes wide with confusion. "Haley, are you sure about this? It feels weird." Haley grinned. "You can't do it all the time, obviously. That much cringe would get old fast. But you're normally so cool and distant. Sending him something like that will catch him completely off guard. First, he'll be shocked, then incredibly excited. And finally, he'll think you're adorable." Why? Isabelle didn't get it. Why would adding a paragraph of strange, descriptive actions in parentheses make Leo find her cute? Seeing her bewildered expression, Haley patiently explained. "It's all about the contrast. No one would ever expect someone with your personality to say something like that. After the initial shock wears off, he'll realize just how much you're thinking about him. It's super cute." Oh, Isabelle was still skeptical, but she remembered Haley's previous advice had worked wonders in getting Leo on the hook. She took a deep breath and sent the message. Haley's eyes lit up with pink hearts. "Oh my God, watching you two fall in love is the best thing ever. I've already picked out your kids' names. If it's a boy, Leon. If it's a girl, Bella. I can just picture them calling me Annie Haley in their cute little voices. Ugh, you two need to have a baby like right now." Isabelle blinked. "Haley, we just got together. We're not having kids. Don't worry, girlie. I'll teach you all the tricks to make that happen fast." Huh. Leo's brain short-circuited for a solid 10 seconds after reading Isabelle's message. Did she really just send that? He stared at the screen, a whirlwind of emotions on his face. Shock, confusion, and an overwhelming sense of joy. The text was objectively ridiculous, so why did he find it so damn cute? He scrolled up and down, as if to confirm it was real. After a long moment, he finally managed to type a reply. Yeah, just finished. Oh, good. Are you going to the studio tomorrow morning?" He was about to type yes, but then he reread her last message and understood. He deleted his response and started over. "Tomorrow, they're just shooting the script, so they don't really need me. I'll probably just pop in to check on things. My roommates were saying that Club Rush starts tomorrow. I could take you to check it out. Maybe we'll find something fun." "Okay." Her cheerful reply made him grin. He didn't even bother texting back. He just called her. The next morning, Leo was up by 8:30, while his roommates were still fast asleep. He glanced at Rex's bright red boxer shorts, deadpanned, and snapped a photo. Then he opened the studio group chat and saw that Sean had gotten the classroom for the shoot. They were meeting at 9. Leo quickly got ready and headed over. Ruby was dressed to kill, as usual, her auburn hair falling over her shoulders. She looked surprised to see him. "Oh, hey, Leo. You didn't have to come. This is all technical stuff. I can't offer technical help, but I could be a producer and co-director." Ha! Ruby's eyes glinted. She leaned in closer. "Well, you should call your little girlfriend over. After we're done shooting, I'll treat you both to lunch." Ahem. "Hey, Quinn, about that scene later." Leo quickly changed the subject and escaped. Once everyone arrived, they grabbed the script and equipment and headed to the classroom. Leo watched them work until almost 10, then messaged Isabelle. "You up? I can take you to get breakfast, and then we can check out the Club Rush. They're all set up near the track." "Yep." Her instant reply made him pause. She must have been awake for a while, just waiting for his message. The thought made him smile. He told Sean he was heading out and left. As he approached the girls' dorm, he saw Isabelle waiting for him by the entrance. But he also saw someone else, a guy, who had reached her first. Leo's steps faltered. A guy. Seeing the guy standing in front of Isabelle, Leo's eyes narrowed. It was strange. Before they were officially dating, he never really cared when other guys tried to talk to her or ask for her number. He'd always assumed that with her icy demeanor, she'd shut them down without a second thought. But now that they were actually a couple, seeing this happen stirred something unfamiliar inside him. Is this jealousy? Possessiveness? The thoughts flashed through his mind in an instant. He only paused for a second before striding forward, just in time to hear the guy's pitch. Hey, my friend over there thinks you're cute and want to get your number, but he's too shy to come over himself. Isabelle shook her head, her expression blank. No. Whoa, don't say no so fast. He just wants to be friends, that's all. So, here, add me instead. Leo's voice cut in from behind him. He held out his phone. I'm pretty strict with her screen time, only half an hour a day. If your friend wants to make friends, he can be friends with me. The guy froze, turning around in shock. He was met with the sight of a tall, handsome guy glaring at him with a look that said, "You are my prey." A shiver ran down his spine. Oh crap, she has a boyfriend, and I walked right into it. Hey man, sorry, he stammered, embarrassed. I didn't know she was taken. My bad. He then scurried away in defeat. Leo muttered at his retreating back. Sure, my friend. I bet. The oldest trick in the book. Isabelle wasn't paying attention to the guy. Her gaze, now soft and warm, was fixed on Leo. You never used to act like that when people asked for my number. Ahem. That was back when we were purely platonic good neighbors, Leo said, puffing out his chest. Things are different now. He felt no shame, only a smug satisfaction. Now that their relationship was official, he could say whatever he wanted. Isabelle let out a soft huff and muttered, We stopped being purely platonic a long time ago. Says you. You were the one touching my leg and staring at my stockings. You just never admit it. Her inner voice hit Leo like a lightning bolt. Oh crap. She knew. She knew the whole time. Luckily, she hadn't said it out loud. He quickly grabbed her hand. Ahem. Let's go get some breakfast and then check out the club tables. Okay. By the time they finished breakfast, it was 10:30. The campus walkways were bustling with students, mostly freshmen excited for the first day of Club Rush. There are so many people, Isabelle said coolly, observing the crowd. Yeah, the popular clubs have limited spots, and they fill up fast, Leo explained. Plus, a lot of freshmen with connections get in early by talking to the club leaders. So by the time the rush officially starts, half the spots are already gone. Isabelle blinked. How do you know so much? Isn't this your first time in college too? It is, but you can learn anything online. And my roommates are obsessed with this kind of stuff. Oh, I like hearing about it. Tell me more. On their way to the main field where the clubs had set up, Leo filled her in on some of the university's unwritten rules. He noticed that since they'd started dating, she seemed more outgoing. It reminded him of how she'd opened up slightly in the first few days after they became neighbors. Months ago, he never would have imagined that the untouchable Ice Queen campus beauty would not only warm up but also become his girlfriend. The area around the track was a chaotic kaleidoscope of recruitment tables, banners, and posters. The anime club and traditional costume club had members dressed in full cosplay. There was a bunny girl senpai, a Boa Hancock, and even an Ari from League of Legends. The sight was breathtaking. Whoa, Leo breathed, taking it all in. Isabelle tugged on his sleeve, a hint of disapproval in her eyes. Leo quickly looked away. Ahem, don't worry, I'm not into that stuff. Had a friend who is. I was just curious what he sees in it. A friend, Isabelle deadpanned. Leo rubbed his nose sheepishly and glanced at the table for those clubs. As expected, they were swarmed with guys who probably didn't care about cosplay or traditional clothing, but were very interested in the pretty upperclassmen running the booths. Hey, freshmen, join the Go Club. We have monthly tournaments with great prizes. Come to the skate club. Don't have a board? No problem, we provide them. Plus, we have tons of cute upperclassmen. Join the film club. Free movies every day. Anyone want to join the literary society? The less popular clubs were practically begging for members. Each year, they had to recruit enough new students to replace the graduating seniors or risk being shut down by the university. Leo and Isabelle watched as several clubs got into a heated tug-of-war over a single, bewildered freshman. Isabelle's lips curved into a small smile. She looked at Leo, her eyes sparkling. Leo, let's join a club. This looks like fun. Leo, we should pick a club, too. This looks kind of fun. Isabelle's quiet suggestion made Leo nod instantly. It was a rare occasion for his small-town neighbor to show any interest in a school activity. Back in their senior year of high school, even though official clubs were suspended, the school would occasionally organize little events to help students de-stress before finals. Isabelle had never participated in a single one, nor had she ever shown the slightest flicker of interest. It was clear she wasn't a fan of group activities, so for her to bring it up now, Leo was 100% on board. "All right," he said. "Which one are you thinking of joining? Let's look around first." Isabelle squinted, scanning the rows of booths set up for Club Rush. There are dozens of them, a chaotic mix of interests and passions, all vying for new members. To be honest, Leo wasn't particularly interested. His college life was already different from most. He was part of Starfall Studios now. Between classes and spending time with Isabelle, any free moment he had was dedicated to the studio. Joining a club felt like a waste of time and energy he didn't have. The booths lined both sides of the main path from the athletic field, the space between them crammed with freshmen. Isabelle stayed close to Leo, her fingers lightly pinching the hem of his shirt as she took everything in. At the gaming club booth, Vice President Vince Foster and another member, Zane Howard, were in charge of recruitment. On paper, the gaming club should have been one of the most popular on campus, and at most other schools it was. But at Crestview Polytechnic, the number of sign-ups each year was pitifully small. Most of their active members have been seniors who just graduated, cutting their numbers in half. If they couldn't recruit at least 40 new people this year, the club's very existence would be in jeopardy. Zane let out a heavy sigh. "Vince, the anime club and the guitar club are basically full already. We've had exactly one person sign up so far." Vince grimaced. "What can you do? Look over there. The anime club is staffed entirely by girls in cosplay, and they're reeling in freshman hook, line, and sinker. And the guitar club has actual pros teaching lessons. Guys know learning guitar is a solid way to pick up girls. Our club? It's all dudes, and the best you can hope for by being good at video games is an online relationship. Of course, no one's interested. But Vince, aren't gaming clubs at other schools super popular? Why is ours so dead? Is a management issue?" Vince gave a bitter smile. The problem had nothing to do with management, rules, or even the members. The root cause was the school itself. Because CPI is a top-tier university. Every single person who got in here is a certified nerd, a straight-A student. And very few of those types are into gaming. That's what created this situation. The schools where gaming clubs are huge, they're mostly state schools or community colleges. Other top-tier universities probably have the same problem we do. "Man, if we don't get new members, the club is just going to die, isn't it?" Zane lamented. "It's a shame there aren't any hot girls who like to game. If we could just get one to join, even as a mascot, she'd attract a ton of guys." Just then, the guys from the tabletop gaming booth and the 3D printing booth across the path started arguing over a new couple. "Hey, what's with you tabletop guys? So aggressive. We saw them first. They were about to fill out our sign-up sheet, and you just swoop in and try to poach them. Bullshit. Were they filling out a form? No. And until they do, they don't belong to any club. So why can't we talk to them? Oh, screw you. Don't try to twist your words. You think you're hot stuff just because your club is bigger. Dude, you tell us. Who approached you first? Don't listen to him, man. Come join us at Tabletop." The recruiters from both clubs were practically at each other's throats, desperate not to lose the two prospective members. Those two members were, of course, Leo and Isabelle. The scene left Leo feeling awkward and cornered. The truth was, neither he nor Isabelle had any intention of joining either club. It was all wishful thinking on the recruiter's part. "Let's find a chance to slip away," Leo whispered. "The tabletop club seems kind of interesting," Isabelle murmured, still observing. "Let's see. So you're picking tabletop?" Isabelle shook her head slightly. "Not necessarily. There might be something more fun." Seeing her indecisiveness, Leo couldn't just drag her away. He was stuck watching the two recruiters bicker. Just then, a guy wearing a Plants vs. Zombies t-shirt approached them. He smiled at Leo first, then turned his attention to Isabelle. "Hi, I'm Zane Howard. I'm one of the recruiters for the gaming club." He launched into his pitch, speaking directly to Isabelle. "Our club has a dedicated computer lab with some seriously high-end rigs. They can run any AAA title on the market perfectly. We also hold internal tournaments every so often, and the winners get to represent the school in collegiate leagues." Zane delivered his spiel in one breathless rush, completely bypassing Leo. It was a tactic Vince had insisted he use. Ignore the guy, talk to the girl. Isabelle raised an eyebrow. The idea of a gaming club had initially intrigued her, but after hearing Zane's description, her expression cooled again. Sensing he was about to be rejected, Zane quickly added, "Oh, And if you join, you can use the computers in the lab anytime. We even have private rooms for two. Ahem. Private rooms for two. The thought suddenly popped into Leo's head, loud and clear. He widened his eyes, instantly realizing that a certain switch in Isabelle had just been flipped. Sure enough, her eyes lit up. I want to join the gaming club, she announced immediately. It was just as Leo had expected. The moment Zane mentioned that the gaming club not only had a computer lab, but also private rooms for two, Isabelle was completely hooked. Really? Okay, great. Come on over and fill out a sign-up sheet. Once you sign, there's no backing out. Zane said, ecstatic. He couldn't believe it. She had been on the verge of turning him down, but his final, offhand comment about a private room had completely turned the tables. Seeing that Isabelle had made her decision, Leo just smiled wryly and said to Zane, "Hey, Zane, was it? I'd like to join the gaming club too, if that's cool." "Of course. No problem." Zane led them over to the gaming club's booth and got 2 registration forms from Vince. He watched them sign, the knot of anxiety in his chest finally loosening. Vince, the vice president, handed them a promotional flyer. "Hey, I'm Vince Foster, VP of the gaming club. Here's a little more info about us. Take a look. No need to rush off." Isabelle took it with interest and stood off to the side with Leo, flipping through it. Seizing the opportunity, Zane sidled up to Vince and whispered, "Vince, how did you know that if we got her joined, her boyfriend would follow without a second thought? Even for couples, they don't always join the same clubs, right? And aren't the private rooms just for you and the president? Why'd you tell me to promise it to them?" Vince chuckled softly. "You're right, couples don't always join the same club. But did you notice? When the tabletop and 3D printing guys were fighting over them, the guy was watching his girlfriend the whole time. It was obvious. He was always going to join whatever club she chose." He paused, a sly look in his eyes. "It's just one private room. We can afford to give it up. That girl is ridiculously beautiful, prettier than any of the so-called campus queens from the anime or cosplay clubs. All we have to do is get her to join, and then just have her stand here. She'll be a magnet for new members. You know how it is, a lot of guys who sign up for clubs are just hoping to meet pretty girls." Holy crap, Zane's eyes widened in realization. Before he could offer any more words of praise, his theory proved true. Several freshmen who had been wandering aimlessly, unable to make a choice, started walking over. "Hi, we'd like to join the gaming club. What are the requirements? Just fill out a form," Zane said excitedly, grabbing a stack of sign-up sheets. It was exactly as Vince had predicted. This stunningly beautiful girl just had to stand there, and she was already drawing people in. Leo, meanwhile, was completely oblivious to the scheming of the club's leadership. He was just looking at the flyer with Isabelle. Isabelle's eyes sparkled with delight as she looked at a photo of the private 2-person room in the brochure. "Leo, now we can play games at school. And it's a private room." Leo's mouth twitched. "The specs on those computers are just as good as the ones at your house," he couldn't help but point out. "This is probably the best gear the entire club has, and we're going to be using it to play mini-clip browser games. It feels a little sacrilegious, don't you think?" Isabelle tilted her chin up and sniffed. "So what? A private room. When we don't have class, I can go play with my little Leo." Hearing her thoughts, Leo decided to drop it. Oh well, she might be terrible at video games, but when it came to playing with his heart, she was an S-tier pro. The first official weekend of college came and went. Monday morning found everyone back in their seats for an 8 a.m. lecture. Most students were slowly adjusting to the rhythm of university life. But for guys like Rex Gao, who had spent the entire summer living like a prince, it still felt like a bait-and-switch. "Damn it," he grumbled. "My whole life, my parents and teachers brainwashed me with this idea that college was all about freedom. But this doesn't feel nearly as free as they made it sound." Felix Fong yawned and slumped onto his desk. "Count your blessings. This school is pretty humane, all things considered. I saw in my high school group chat last night that some colleges still have mandatory morning and evening study halls. Besides not having to wake up at 5, it's basically no different from high school." "What the hell?" Rex was aghast. "What's the difference? It's like you can't challenge Einstein's theory of relativity, but you can still get detention for being late to physics class." After his rant, Rex's mood shifted. He flicked his hair back and grinned. "Oh, right, I forgot to tell you guys yesterday. I signed up for the dance club. I have a pretty good shot at getting in." Leo looked at him, puzzled. "Rex, since when are you interested in dancing?" "I'm not, but the president of the club is drop-dead gorgeous. You guys should have seen her. She's got this killer burgundy hair, her body is insane, and she wears stuff that's basically just good vibes." Rex paused, then shot a leering grin at Felix. "Felix, I think the dance club president is your type. I like them with big Personalities. Oh, she's got plenty of personality. I'm guessing a D cup at least. And you didn't tell me sooner? Is it too late for me to sign up now? Felix's eyes went wide, accusing Rex of holding out on him. Listening to their conversation, Leo narrowed his eyes. The dance club president Rex was describing sounded suspiciously like Ruby Yu. He didn't dwell on it, though. As was his habit, he pulled out his phone and discreetly scrolled through the messages in the studio's group chat. Ruby Yu, at everyone, the video is almost done with editing. Everyone's free this afternoon, right? Come to the studio to check out the final cut. Ruby Yu, at Leo, freshman, you can bring your girlfriend along. Hee winking face Leo's eye twitched. He silently typed back. Leo Yeager. No he. Given Ruby's relentless interest in his small-town neighbor, Leo quickly changed the subject in the group chat. Leo Yeager. Ruby, are you the president of the dance club? Ruby replied almost instantly. Ruby Yu, how'd you know? Is your girlfriend thinking of joining? Ruby Yu, my club is technically full, but if it's for your girlfriend, I can quietly lose one of the other applications. For you, we can bend the rules a little. With confirmation that Ruby was indeed the dance club president, Leo shot a sympathetic look at Rex. Poor guy. Every time he found a girl he was interested in, she either already liked someone else or had a boyfriend. This time, he'd finally found someone who was single and seemingly available, and it turned out, she wasn't interested in guys at all. Leo typed quickly. Leo Yeager. Haha, no, it's nothing. I have a friend who thinks you're really pretty and signed up for the club because of you. Ruby Yu. Is your friend a boy or a girl? If it's a girl, tell me her name. She's 100% in. Leo Yeager. It's a guy. Ruby Yu. Tell me his name anyway. I'll make sure he doesn't get in. Leo Yeager. Reading Ruby's reply, Leo didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He put his phone away and quietly said to Rex, Rex, I really think you should reconsider joining the dance club. You're not even interested in dancing. There's no need to force it. Rex was confused. I wasn't interested before, I'll admit. But now that I know the president is a total smoke show, I'm suddenly very interested in dancing. Sometimes it's better to just take the advice. Leo, I think you're just jealous I signed up before you could. Don't worry, man. Once I get in, I'll send you guys pictures of the president. I got you. Seeing Rex's excited face, Leo didn't have the heart to tell him the truth. He just sighed softly. Oh well, respect his journey, he thought. Isabelle, yesterday was club rush. Zoe and I signed up for the dance club, and Jessie joined the literature club since she loves reading. Are you going to join one? There are a lot of cool clubs at CPI, and with legs like yours, it'd be a shame not to dance. With a few minutes left in their 8 a.m. lecture, the professor had already finished the material and assigned homework, leaving the class to scroll through their phones. Haley Xia took the opportunity to lean toward Isabelle. Before Isabelle could answer, Zoe Chong spoke up, looking puzzled. Haley, didn't someone from the club post in the recruitment group chat last night that all the spots are full? She asked. Even if Isabelle wanted to join now, it's probably too late. Haley just waved her hand dismissively, crossing her arms with a knowing smile. I saw that message too, but I heard from someone that the president makes exceptions for really pretty girls. If you're good-looking enough, you can get in without even filling out a form. With Isabelle's looks, she wouldn't even need to apply. If she wanted to, she could just go talk to the president. Hearing this, Jessie Chiao, who was usually quiet, looked worried. She hesitated for a moment before saying weakly, Haley, if the president makes special exceptions for pretty girls, does that mean? Oh, Jessie, you're overthinking it. It's the dance club. Of course the president is a girl. It's not some creepy guy trying to recruit attractive freshmen. Oh, thank God, Jessie said, pressing a hand to her chest in relief. Haley turned back to Isabelle. So what do you think, Isabelle? Want to join a dance club with us? I already joined a club. Isabelle pursed her lips, a faint smile appearing as she thought about signing up for the gaming club with Leo. She was already looking forward to playing games with him in their private room. Her 3 roommates were stunned. What? What club did you join? Haley asked, shocked. The gaming club. The 3 of them stared, dumbfounded. They couldn't believe that not only had Isabelle proactively joined a club, but she had chosen the gaming club of all things. That was usually a guy thing. And they'd heard CPI's gaming club was far from popular. It was actually on the verge of being shut down. Haley's surprise lasted only a second before her expression shifted to a sly, teasing grin. Oh, she cooed. I get it. Leo joined the gaming club. So you just had to join with him, didn't you? Isabelle lifted her chin, a hint of pride in her voice. Actually, Leo joined with me. The vice president said they have a private room, so Leo and I can play games together at school now. The other 3 sighed in unison. You are so whipped, Haley said, her tone mockingly mournful. You even have to be in the same club as your Leo. You two should just get fused at the hip already. If Leo was willing, I would. Of course, Haley and the others couldn't hear Isabelle's inner monologue. If Leo had been there, her thoughts would have probably made him stumble. Ring, ring, ring. The bell signaled the end of class. The four roommates from dorm 311 gathered their books and headed for their next lecture. Just as they stepped out the back door of the classroom, a handsome guy blocked their path. It was Jamon Lee, the Korean student who had tried and failed to get Isabelle's number before. He held out a bag of breakfast he'd bought. "Isabelle, we meet again," he said smoothly. "I heard your Finance 2 class has an 8 a.m. on Mondays, so I figured you didn't have time to eat. The cafeteria is packed after class, and the lines are long. So I waited in line for you and got you some breakfast." Seeing him, Isabelle's brow furrowed slightly. She remembered that the last time they'd met, he didn't even know her name or her major. How had he found out all this information already? She hated the feeling of being investigated behind her back. It reminded her of Sharon. Still, out of politeness, she rejected him coolly. "Thank you, but I've already eaten this morning. Please don't do this again in the future." "Thank you, but I've already eaten this morning. Please don't do this again in the future." Though Isabelle's tone was cold, her rejection was still polite. When it came to turning people down, she was a seasoned pro. Back when she first transferred to Northwood High, plenty of guys, unaware of her icy demeanor, had tried to get her number or even boldly confess their feelings. Every single one of them had been shut down without mercy. Jamon Lee, however, didn't seem fazed. He offered a disarming smile and said softly, "That's okay. These three must be your roommates, right? Hi, I'm Jamon Lee, a public administration major. Since Isabelle has already eaten, maybe one of you hasn't? I'm sure she'd be happy to share." Haley and the others were still a bit stunned. They had seen guys ask Isabelle out before, but they'd never seen anyone who, after being so clearly rejected, could just stand there without a hint of awkwardness. Haley was the first to recover. She shook her head at Jamon. "No, thank you. We all went to the cafeteria together this morning." "It's no problem. Anyone can have it. It was for Isabelle, so no matter who eats it, it's really from." Before Jamon could finish his sentence, he felt a tug on the breakfast bag in his hand. A moment later, his hands were empty. Leo had appeared at his side. He quickly untied the plastic bag, took a bite of a cruller, and nodded in satisfaction. "Oh, crullers and soy milk. Nice combo. I actually skipped breakfast this morning. This tastes pretty good. Aish, who are you? What gives you the right to take the breakfast I bought?" Jamon stared, completely blindsided by Leo's sudden appearance. Where the hell did this guy come from? He had absolutely no sense of personal space. Leo chewed thoughtfully, then his eyebrows shot up. A little dry. He poked a straw into the soy milk, took a long sip, and smiled again, satisfied. He continued eating as he replied, "Didn't you just say anyone could have it?" He glanced in Isabelle's direction and shrugged. "Well, they didn't want it, so I'll eat it. Can't let it go to waste, right?" "But, Aish, fine, you can eat it, but couldn't you have at least asked?" Jamon had been on the verge of cursing him out, but with Isabelle and her roommates standing right there, he forced the string of a sherbal back down his throat. He even managed to squeeze out a gentlemanly smile, trying to show Isabelle his most polite and well-mannered side. Leo nodded, completely unconcerned. He kept eating and said, "Okay, excuse me, Mr. Soul, may I eat this breakfast? Just eat it. You've already started anyway. I've never met someone so weird." Jamon, wave him off. "Since you took the breakfast, just get out of here. Don't block our way." Jamon was annoyed. This new guy was annoyingly handsome, easily on par with himself. If he stuck around, he might steal the spotlight in front of Isabelle. However, Leo had no intention of leaving. He drained the last of the soy milk and handed the half-eaten cruller back to Jamon. "Nah, I'm full. You can have the rest back." With that, he very naturally took Isabelle's hand. "Let's go," he said lightly. "I had Rex and the guys save us seats. We can sit together for the next class." "Okay," Isabelle replied. Her previously cold expression melted the moment she saw Leo. And when he took her hand in front of so many people for the first time, her eyes shone even brighter. She squeezed his hand and leaned in closer, not sparing Jamon another glance. The scene was so sweet it made Haley feel like she was about to go into a diabetic coma. With Isabelle's hand in his, Leo frowned at Jamon, who was still blocking their path. "Excuse me, K-pop. Mind moving? I need to get a class with my girlfriend." Jamon stared blankly at their retreating backs, his expression a mixture of confusion and disbelief. "Aish, Isabelle has a boyfriend, and her boyfriend ate the breakfast I bought for her. Aish, aish, aish." "Ooh la la," Haley teased Leo in a sing-song voice. "I didn't know you were so possessive of our dear Isabelle. The way you looked at Jamon, I thought you were going to eat him alive." Leo, holding Isabelle's soft hand, just snorted dismissively. Who would want to eat that guy? Smells like kimchi, sour and salty. He'd actually heard Isabelle mention Jamon the night before when they were walking around the track field. He hadn't expected to run into the guy himself when he decided to slip out of his own class a few minutes early to meet her. Bringing my girlfriend breakfast? Aish, who gave you permission? Haley cackled. Leo, Isabelle told me you joined a studio run by one of the upperclassmen here. Yeah, we make short-form content, little skits and stories. You've probably seen similar stuff on TikTok. It wasn't a secret, so Leo admitted it freely. Well, in that case, maybe you can get me a supporting role sometime, Haley joked. Sure, Leo replied. Once the account takes off, I'll let you have a cameo. Zoe giggled. Haley, you sound like some unknown actress begging a director for a part. Does this count as a casting couch situation? Casting couch. The words made Isabelle, who had been gazing at Leo, stiffen. She pouted, her expression turning serious as she looked at Haley. Haley, you're not allowed to go to Leo for a casting couch. Haha, I think our little jealous kitty is showing her claws. Haley laughed, delighted. I'm just kidding. I don't want to be in a video. It would be so embarrassing if someone I knew saw it. Seeing that her roommates were just teasing her, Isabelle puffed out her cheeks with a wounded look. They chatted and laughed all the way to their next classroom. Isabelle's eyes were full of anticipation as she asked quietly, Leo, when are we going to the gaming club's private room? Ahem, maybe don't put so much emphasis on private room. Leo coughed. We'll have to wait for an announcement in the group chat. We just signed up, so it'll probably be Thursday or Friday at the earliest. Okay, Isabelle mumbled, feeling that the club's staff was terribly inefficient. If they were her family's employees, she'd have Lester light a fire under them. Then she could go play with Leo sooner. As the #1 Team Leo Bell shipper, Haley had been eavesdropping, trying to extract every bit of sweetness from their conversation. Hearing gaming club, she sighed. Isabelle, are you sure you don't want to join the dance club with me and Zoe? With those long legs, you'd be a beautiful dancer. What? Hearing dance club again, Leo's eyebrows shot up. He looked at Haley in disbelief. You guys joined the dance club too? This was the second time today Leo had heard about someone he knew joining the dance club. It made sense, he supposed. Ruby Yu's stunning looks and fiery personality were bound to attract freshmen like Rex Gao, who were clearly just in it for her. Girls like Haley and Zoe, on the other hand, were probably genuinely interested in dancing. Do you know who the dance club president is? Leo asked tentatively. Yeah, we heard she's a super pretty upperclassman, Haley said. If you hadn't already roped Isabelle into the gaming club, Zoe and I would have definitely tried to get her to join with us. Even though recruitment is over, there's a rumor that the club makes exceptions for girls who are pretty enough. Leo was speechless. Classic Ruby, he thought, using her position to build her personal harem. It explained why she was so determined to remain president of the dance club when she was already busy with Starfall Studios. It was clear Haley and Zoe had no idea about Ruby's true preferences. Out of a sense of goodwill, Leo decided to give them a subtle warning. I think you guys should maybe reconsider joining the dance club. Why? What's there to reconsider? We get to learn how to dance and look at a pretty upperclassman. It's a win-win. Seeing Haley's clueless expression, Leo sighed inwardly. But then a new thought occurred to him. Haley and Zoe were both very attractive. If they'd joined the dance club and caught Ruby's eye, maybe she'd finally stop bothering Isabelle. With that, Leo's tone shifted. You've got a point, he said thoughtfully. I fully support you two joining the dance club. Just don't try to drag my girlfriend into it. Isabelle, your boyfriend is being weird, Haley muttered. But Isabelle wasn't paying attention to the conversation about the dance club. Her focus was entirely on Haley's phrasing. Your boyfriend. Haley is a good person. She has to be the maid of honor with the most say in things. Hearing his neighbor's inner thoughts, Leo's heart skipped a beat. That girl, he thought, she's already fantasizing about weddings. She's probably picked out names for the kids already. That Monday afternoon, Leo didn't have any classes. Just as Ruby had announced in the group chat, the Starfall Studios team gathered at the studio to review the first video they had shot. Quinn Fan and Don Run had finished the post-production editing, and the video was essentially a finished product. As long as everyone approved it, it was ready to be published on TikTok. Hey, freshman, why didn't you bring your girlfriend? Ruby pouted when she saw Leo arrive alone. You're not being very good. Leo rubbed his nose awkwardly. Sean Shao cut in, his tone sharp. Ruby, that's enough. I don't care who you like, but Leo is part of the studio. Stop going after his girlfriend. Ruby stuck her tongue out playfully and flicked her burgundy hair. Fine, I won't, she muttered under her breath. Anyway, my vice president told me we got a lot of cute freshmen in the dance club this year. Leo wiped a bead of sweat from his forehead. He had a strong suspicion that Haley and Zoe were among them. He joined Sean and the others around the computer to watch the edited video. Quinn and Don were skilled. The final cut was impressive, and everyone was pleased. They offered a few minor suggestions for tweaks, which Don implemented on the spot. Then, Sean pulled out his phone and showed them the new account he had registered that morning. The username was simple at Starfall_official. For the username, I looked at a bunch of similar accounts. Most of them are named after the main character. I figured we could just use our studio's name, but if you guys have better suggestions, I'm all ears. Leo and the others agreed the name was fine. The success of the channel would depend on the content, not the username. With everyone in agreement, Sean took a deep breath and uploaded the first edited video to the @Starfall_official account. The moment it was posted, a palpable tension filled the room. Everyone, including Leo, was nervous. Ruby turned her head away. "Let's not watch it," she said, her voice tight with anxiety. "Let's check the stats in a few hours. Staring at it waiting for results is too stressful." "Yeah, let's let the algorithm do its thing for an hour or two," Sean agreed, putting his phone away. "We'll check the data later. If it's doing well after a couple of hours, we'll boost it to get more exposure." Though there was nothing left to do for now, no one left the studio. They all settled onto the couches, scrolling through their phones but not really paying attention, quietly waiting for the 2-hour mark. Meanwhile, at the Thornton estate, a white BMW pulled slowly out of the grand driveway. In the back seat sat Isabelle's stepmother, Sharon Thornton. Sharon sat in the back of the car, her posture impeccably elegant despite her slightly rounded belly. She exuded the aura of a wealthy socialite. "Where to, ma'am?" the middle-aged driver asked respectfully. "The Riverbend Inn." The driver paused. He quickly searched for the location and saw that it was a long way from the Thornton estate, at least a 2-hour drive. Concerned for his pregnant passenger, he offered a gentle warning. "Ma'am, that's quite a distance. Assuming no traffic or other delays, it will take at least 2 hours. Given your condition, I'm worried such a long car ride might be uncomfortable for you." Sharon shook her head. "I know what I'm doing. Just do your job." She paused, then added, "And one more thing. When we get back, make sure you clear the trip history for this destination. And under no circumstances can Mr. Thornton find out about this." The driver understood immediately. He just nodded silently and said no more. He had become Mrs. Thornton's personal driver precisely because he had earned her trust and become a confidant. While all employees of Thornton Industries were bound by a code of loyalty to the chairman, the driver knew where his own loyalties lay. He wasn't the chairman's man. Since the second Mrs. Thornton trusted him, he couldn't afford to betray that trust. Besides, he now knew many of her secrets. If he were to switch his allegiance back to the chairman, she would undoubtedly find some excuse to have him fired. No matter how loyal he was to the chairman, Sharon was the woman who shared his bed. He was just a driver, easily replaceable. And by now, everyone in the Thornton household knew about the second Mrs. Thornton's ruthless methods. More than 2 hours later, the car pulled up smoothly in front of the Riverbend Inn. The driver was a little surprised by the restaurant's appearance. It was nothing like the opulent, gilded establishments Mrs. Thornton usually frequented. This seemed to be a private, understated place, its decor simple but tasteful. Sharon placed a hand on her lower back as she stepped out of the car. A few moments later, 2 middle-aged men emerged from the restaurant, smiling to greet her. One of them, whose hair was lightly flecked with gray, spoke first. "Mrs. Thornton, I know this is a bit far from the estate, but we felt it was necessary for the security of our partnership. I hope you don't mind." The other man chimed in. "Thank you for making the trip, Mrs. Thornton." "It's fine. I understand," Sharon replied coolly. She turned to the driver. "Jim, go find a place to park and wait in the car. I'll call you when I'm finished." "Of course, ma'am. Call me whenever you're ready." The driver nodded, then got back in the car and drove away. As he turned the corner, out of sight, his composure finally broke. He recognized the 2 men. They were senior executives at Thornton Industries, men who held significant power within the company. It wasn't strange for them to be here, but the fact that Mrs. Thornton had specifically instructed him to keep the trip a secret from everyone, especially the chairman, was deeply unsettling. It meant she was meeting with them behind the chairman's back. They had even chosen this remote location to avoid being seen. The whole Thornton group might be in for a shake-up, Jim thought with a quiet sigh. He knew one thing for sure. Now was not the time to back the wrong horse. "Mrs. Thornton, according to the plan we discussed, it's time to begin implementation," said the gray-haired executive, Simon Leong, from inside the private dining room. He was one of Thornton Industries' old guard. The other executive, Chris Young, was younger but had risen through the ranks quickly due to his sharp abilities. Our actions 3 months ago were a definite setback for the chairman's side. If we continue with the same approach, he'll likely assume there are problems elsewhere in the supply chain. He'll never suspect the truth. Sharon took a sip of water, her slender fingers tapping a rhythmic beat on the table. I'm over 4 months pregnant, she said finally. The plan is proving more difficult than I anticipated. That's unavoidable, Mrs. Thornton, Chris said. Thornton Industries is a massive corporation. The three of us can't achieve our goal overnight. A cold smile touched Sharon's lips. If the three of us can't do it, then we'll find a way to bring more people in. Mrs. Thornton, that seems risky, Simon cautioned. The more people involved, the easier it will be for the chairman to find out. So what? It wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened within the company. Richard always assumes it's the competition trying to poach his people. Why would he ever suspect us? Sharon's words hung in the air, leaving Simon and Chris in thoughtful silence. She waited patiently for their response. Finally, after a long pause, Simon made his decision. I understand what you mean. When we get back, Chris and I will start sounding out some of our trusted associates to join the plan. We'll achieve our goal as quickly as possible. Good. The sooner, the better, Sharon nodded. She gently touched her swelling belly, a look of profound affection in her eyes. At least the first phase of the plan has to be done by the time my baby is born, otherwise. None of us are going to have a happy ending. Simon and Chris exchanged a look. They both understood the unspoken threat in her words. There had long been a rumor among a small circle of senior executives that Sharon's child was not Richard Thornton's. Of course, very few people knew of this rumor, and no one dared breathe a word of it to the chairman himself. But now, with Sharon's willingness to undertake this plan, the rumor was starting to seem much more plausible. The three of them spent the next hour eating and discussing the finer details of their scheme. Finally, Sharon called her driver. Jim, come pick me up at the front of the restaurant. A short while later, she was back in the car, heading toward the Thornton estate. Just as the car started moving, the phone in her purse vibrated. She raised an eyebrow. This wasn't her work phone. Only those very close to her had this number. Sharon pulled it out. It was a text message. Aunt Sharon, it's Landon. I might be coming back to the States ahead of schedule. Sharon's eyes widened in surprise, and then a slow, knowing smile spread across her face. Perfect timing, she murmured to herself. Isabelle Thornton, now that Landon Archer is coming back, let's see how you and your little boyfriend handle this. No way, no way, no way. It blew up. The video blew up. At 6 in the evening, Quinn Fan, who had been scrolling through short-form videos on the couch, suddenly yelped and shot to his feet. Everyone looked over. Quinn, what blew up? Leo asked. Our video, of course. Quinn was practically vibrating with excitement, holding up his phone. It's been less than 2 hours, and it already has 6,000 likes and over 3,000 saves. I bet the view count is over 80,000. Hearing this, Sean Xiao frowned. How do you know? The account is logged in on my phone. Quinn took a deep breath, his excitement still palpable. I've been scrolling TikTok this whole time. I follow a lot of creators in our niche to study their editing, so the algorithm always pushes similar content to me. I was just scrolling, and our video popped up on my For You page. 6,000 likes. In this short amount of time, it's definitely hit the algorithm. The rest of the team erupted in excitement. Sean immediately unlocked his own phone, and everyone crowded around to look. Sure enough, the notifications for likes, comments, and saves all read 99+. When he went to their profile page, it was just as Quinn had said. The likes had surpassed 6,000 and were climbing with every refresh. And the view count in the analytics had far exceeded Quinn's estimate. It wasn't just over 80,000. It had already passed 100,000 and was on its way to 110,000. For a moment, they were all stunned. The next second, the studio was filled with cheers. This is amazing. We actually did it. Ruby shouted, her eyes glued to the screen as if the climbing numbers held some magical power. Sean's face was beaming with pride. This is the result of all our hard work, he said, his hand tightening around his phone. From the concept to the filming to the editing, we poured our hearts into every step. This success was inevitable. A wave of excitement and passion washed over them. Leo let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding, an unstoppable smile spreading across his face. He had worried that their inexperience would lead to some fatal flaw in the first video, causing it to flop. He hadn't held out much hope for it. A first attempt failing was normal. He never expected it to be an instant hit. 6,000 likes in just over an hour was beyond their wildest expectations. It meant that if they just kept on their current path, refining their scripts, filming, and editing, they would have a successful launch. Phew, that money didn't go down the drain. Leo thought, relieved. Investing in Starfall Studios had been a gamble for him. A few minutes later, once the initial euphoria had subsided, Sharon immediately spent $200 to boost the post, pushing the video into a higher traffic pool as they planned. Then, they opened the comments section, quickly taking notes on feedback related to the content, characters, and any popular trends users mentioned. This was invaluable information they could use to make targeted improvements for their next video. They spent another hour poring over the comments, summarizing the feedback. By then, the video had climbed to 8,000 likes with a view count approaching 200,000. Ruby, you might have a late night, Sharon said, all business now. Get in touch with the scriptwriters. Give them the new creative direction. We need a new script within 2 days. We've already got over 2,000 followers, and if things keep up, we should hit 10,000 by morning. We have to strike while the iron is hot and get the second video out as soon as possible. It's crucial for a new channel. Right, I get it. Ruby nodded, her usual playful attitude replaced by serious focus. It was 9 o'clock by the time Leo finally left the studio. Over the next 2 weeks, Starfall Studios released several more videos. Each one garnered over 1 million views, and in just half a month, their follower count surged to 100,000 and was still climbing. To maintain the quality of their content, Leo couldn't afford to slack off. Outside of classes and time with Isabelle, he spent nearly every moment analyzing videos from other creators in their niche, trying to distill the essence of what made them successful. In other news, the gaming club had officially approved Leo and Isabelle's applications. The vice president, Vince Foster, kept his promise, granting them access to the club's private 2-person room. It was only after they went that Leo discovered it was the only private room the club had, a space that even members who had been in the club for years weren't allowed to use. One Friday, after his last class of the afternoon, Leo took Isabelle to the private room. He sat down at one of the computers and had just launched Bleach Versus Naruto when Isabelle tilted her chin up, her tone imperious. Leo, you are not allowed to pick Naruto again. It's cheap. Then you can't pick him either, or it's not fair to me. No, you have to let me win. Otherwise, you'll have to face the consequences. Little Leo, if you don't let me win, I'll punish you by devouring your mouth. Hearing her inner thoughts, Leo's eyebrows shot up. Oh, okay. So, no Naruto, but devouring my mouth is allowed? And you could be a little more specific. Devouring your mouth with what? If it's your fishnet stockings, then please, by all means, punish me. And so, despite Isabelle's vehement objections, Leo smirked and selected Naruto. Isabelle's face fell into a pout. Leo, you did that on purpose, she grumbled. Ahem, my hand slipped, Leo said, his eyes darting away. He was definitely doing it on purpose. Isabelle huffed, then leaned in close, her face just inches from his, so close he could feel her breath. Before he could react, her warm lips pressed against his. It was a quick, fleeting kiss. She pulled back, her expression cool and aloof. That's what you get for picking Naruto. Leo looked at her, dazed, the warmth and faint scent of her lips still lingering. A moment later, a look of profound regret crossed his face. And then, he picked Naruto again. Isabelle, he said mournfully, I'd like to experience the consequences of picking Naruto one more time. Damn it, if I had known this was the punishment, why the hell did I ever pick Rock Lee, Ichigo, or Sasuke? I would have made Naruto until the end of time. Watching Leo repeatedly select the same character, Isabelle pressed her lips together. Leo, your unneighborly intentions are a little obvious. What's this about being neighbors? We stopped being purely platonic good neighbors a long time ago, didn't we? Leo said, his eyes narrowed. And so, the private room was filled not only with the sounds of fighting game combos, but also with the occasional soft moi. Leo finally understood why Isabelle had been so quick to join the gaming club after Zane had mentioned the private room. This wasn't a gaming room. This was their new moral low ground, a step up from the grove of trees by the athletic field and the bench across from the boys' dorm. BZ, MMPH, no more kissing. Someone's calling me. Leo gently pushed Isabelle away and pulled his phone from his pocket. You were the one kissing me, Isabelle mumbled, her tone petulant. She wanted to put on her usual cool expression, but her cheeks were flushed a bright red, which only made her look endearingly flustered. Leo answered the call. It was P6.She. Leo, you busy tonight? If not, let's grab dinner. We haven't hung out since college started. You got some nerve. The moment you get a break, you're off with Clara. When have you ever thought of me? Hey, I'm calling you now, aren't I? Kevin chuckled on the other end. Leo's original plan for the evening was to have dinner with Isabelle and then go for a walk on the track. But then he remembered that Starfall Studios had been doing well recently, and he really should update Kevin. After all, Kevin was technically a shareholder, having invested $5,000. All right, fine, Leo said, but a little later, I'll meet you around 8. Sounds good. After hanging up, Leo looked back at Isabelle. Kevin wants to grab dinner tonight. Want to come with? Isabelle shook her head. Haley wants to go to the mall tonight, and she asked me to go with them. That's cool too. Leo didn't press it. Isabelle's icy exterior had certainly thawed a lot recently. She was often hanging out with Haley and the others now. It was something Leo had hoped for. She'd never had many friends before, but now, with her roommates, her life was becoming much richer. Leo pointed to the computer. So, a couple more rounds, and then we'll head out? Isabelle didn't answer. She just pursed her lips, grabbed the mouse, and selected Naruto for him again. Then she looked up at him, her eyes glistening. At 7 o'clock, Leo walked Isabelle back to her dorm, holding her hand. Then he rushed back to his own dorm to borrow Rex's car keys. Rex, who was in the middle of a game with Felix, reluctantly dug the keys out of his pocket. Leo, I swear I brought my car to campus, but I've barely driven it myself, he grumbled. You've used up all my gas. What are you talking about? It's bad for the engine to let a car sit for too long. I'm doing you a favor. Besides, a rich kid like you isn't worried about a little gas money, are you? Rex was immune to Leo's flattery by now. Get a rest. That might have worked on me before, but not anymore. I seriously think you're trying to gaslight me. Don't think. I'm definitely manipulating you. Damn, you're a real piece of work. Despite the complaining, Rex handed over the keys. In reality, Leo always filled up the tank after borrowing the car. They just enjoyed giving each other a hard time. At 8 o'clock, Leo met Kevin at the entrance of Cust. When Kevin saw the Mercedes C-Class Leo was driving, he froze. Leo, you bought a car? Nah, it's my roommate's. He's a rich kid. I'm just borrowing it. Hearing that, Kevin visibly relaxed, pressing a hand to his chest. It was like that old saying, you hate to see your friend struggle, but you also hate to see them driving a Range Rover. Leo drove them to a nearby food truck park. As soon as they sat down, he looked at Kevin. All right, spill it. What's up? Don't hummy. We've known each other since we were kids. I know you better than anyone. It's Friday night. If nothing was wrong, you'd be with Clara. Why would you call me? The moment Kevin had called to ask him to dinner, Leo had known something was up. It was too out of character. Sure enough, caught red-handed, Kevin just scratched the back of his head and chuckled sheepishly. Finally, he mumbled, It's nothing major, really. I'm not with Clara tonight because her roommate's having a birthday dinner, so I had some free time. He paused, a blush creeping up his neck. Leo, Clara and I are officially dating now. Like we held hands last night. That's it. That's it. Leo rolled his eyes and crossed his legs. I thought it was something serious. Turns out you just wanted to show off that you have a girlfriend. Hey, you know it, Kevin grinned. I may not be as handsome as you, but when it comes to getting a girlfriend, I beat you to it. And how do you know Isabelle and I haven't kissed? Kevin stared at Leo in disbelief, wondering if he had misheard. But Leo's expression was completely serious. So, it was true. The realization hit him, and a loud, holy crap, broke the silence. Holy crap. Leo, you sly dog. It's one thing to joke about being purely platonic good neighbors with the campus queen, but you actually made a move. Kevin's shock quickly turned to concern. Are you not scared her dad is going to find out and have you quietly snipped? Leo's face darkened. What are you talking about? I meant that Isabelle and I started dating before you and Clara did. Oh, so you're just dating her? That's not so. Wait, what the hell? You're dating Isabelle Thornton. Kevin finally processed the words, his eyes going wide. That news was even more shocking than the kiss. He circled Leo, looking him up and down. Leo, you're the man. I can't believe you actually got with a girl like her, the type you can only admire from a distance. Cut it out. Don't be so dramatic. Kevin just grinned. Well, what are you working so hard on this studio for? If you stop trying for even a second, you'll have to marry into her family and live off her. He sobered up slightly. Seriously, though, you better treat her right. She's the dream girl for so many guys. If this were high school, you'd be public enemy #1 on every guy's hit list. Leo just nodded. Before he could say anything else, Kevin scratched his head and gave another sheepish laugh. Leo, speaking of the studio, there was actually something else I wanted to talk to you about. Yeah. Kevin pursed his lips, hesitating for a moment. Ever since I took your advice and invested that $5,000 in that Starfall Studios at your school, I haven't really heard anything. I was just wondering, is there anything I can do to help? I feel weird just putting in money and doing nothing. Even if it makes a profit and I get a cut, it doesn't feel like I had anything to do with it. That's what an investment is, man, Leo explained patiently. You joined a studio as an investor. Your role is to provide capital and then wait for your share of the profits. So if we succeed, it's not that you had nothing to do with it. On the contrary, without your investment, the studio wouldn't have had the funds to even get started, let alone succeed. He suspected Kevin might be having second thoughts about the studio and wanted his money back. But Kevin fell silent for a few seconds after hearing his explanation, then spoke again. Okay, Leo, I'll just be straight with you. Go on. Now that I'm with Clara, I was thinking, since I invested in the studio, I want to treat it like a real job, you know? So Clara can see that I'm working hard and making money. I know what you said is probably right, but you didn't start this studio. You might think that way, but the others might not. I'm worried they'll just kick me out eventually. After Kevin laid out his fears, it all clicked for Leo. His concerns were valid. There is no guarantee that Ruby and Sean saw Kevin as a permanent fixture. Thinking it over, Leo decided to tell him the good news. He explained how, in just 2 weeks, Starfall had produced several videos with over 1 million views each. He also detailed each team member's specific role. When he finished, Kevin's jaw was on the floor. No way. 1 million views? That's even better than that e-commerce account we started. How much money is an account like that making? Kevin clearly had some misconceptions. Leo shook his head. No, this is different from what we did before. It's not going to be profitable that quickly. But at our current pace, we're right on the verge of it. I'm telling you all this so you understand what everyone does. Even I can't touch the technical stuff. I can only offer market research and content suggestions. I get what you're feeling, but without the editing or filming skills, there's really not much for us to do at the studio right now. The words seemed to deflate Kevin. He opened his mouth to speak a few times, but said nothing. Finally, he just sighed and started moodily attacking his barbecue skewers. Seeing his friend's disappointment, Leo understood completely. He thought for a moment, then said, "It's not that there's nothing for you to do, just not at this stage. But the media industry, especially with an algorithm like TikTok's, can make a studio blow up overnight. When that happens, the studio will expand rapidly, and a ton of new roles will open up. You'll have plenty to keep you busy then." Really? Leo, you better not just be trying to make me feel better. Of course it's real, you idiot. You only believe Clara and not me, is that it? Leo rolled his eyes. That seemed to do the trick. The dejected look on Kevin's face vanished. With the issue resolved, he finally relaxed and started gushing about Clara, a grin plastered on his face. He polished off several skewers, his excitement mounting. Leo, honestly, after Clara and I made it official last night, I was so wired I couldn't sleep. I've even picked out our future kids' names. You're being a little dramatic, man. You just got together. Leo paused, then chuckled. Let me guess, twins, right? How did you know? Kevin asked, astonished. Does Leo have my brain bugged? Leo just took a calm sip of his drink. A lucky guess, he said nonchalantly. And I'm also guessing the first one is named Smokey and the second one is Yogi. Get out of here. Saturday morning. A light, drizzly rain was falling, casting a gloomy pall over all of Crestview. A Saturday. Rain. A quiet dorm. Curtains drawn. A fully charged phone. Roommates still asleep. All the buffs were stacked, creating a perfect sense of security. Even Leo, who wasn't one to sleeping on weekends, found himself waking up at 11. He poked his head out from his bunk and saw that Rex and Felix were still asleep. Only Ned and Yo was awake, lying on his side and scrolling through his phone. The screen's faint glow illuminated his face, which was stretched into a massive grin. He kept swiping, his happiness growing with every new page. Ned, what are you looking at that's got you grinning from ear to ear? Leo asked quietly. A novel. An urban romance. Dating in real life is too much trouble. I just like reading about other people's sweet love stories. What a weird hobby. Leo muttered to himself as he got dressed. He headed to the bathroom, scrolling through his own messages while he brushed his teeth. Starfall Studios group chat. Sean Shao. At Ruby, at Quinn, the latest script is done. Come to the studio after lunch to go over the details. We're filming tomorrow morning. Purely platonic good neighbor. Isabelle Thornton. Leo, it's raining, can't go out. Want to go to the gaming club and play. You pick Naruto. Seeing Isabelle's message, Leo nearly spat out a mouthful of toothpaste. He chuckled. Women, I'm not even going to call you out on it. Are you really going to the gaming club to play games? You're just thirsty for my body. But the message was from over an hour ago. It was almost lunchtime now, too late to head to the gaming club. Leo wiped his hands and replied. Leo Yeager. Didn't set an alarm this morning, and the dorm was too quiet. Overslept by accident. I'll take you to the club this afternoon. Isabelle Thornton. K. She only replied with a single letter. By the time Leo finished getting ready, Rex and Felix were also awake. Felix was sitting up in bed, a faint smile on his face as he played on his phone. Rumor had it he'd met a girl in a game who was a couple of years older than him. Coincidentally, she was also a student in Crestview at Cust. Felix, Leo asked casually, since that girl goes to Cust, why don't you two meet up for lunch or something? We're not there yet. We're still getting to know each other. But based on my analysis of Cece's photos, she's definitely my type. Felix pushed his glasses up, his smile widening. Her name is Cece? Let's see a picture, man. We'll be the judge, Rex said from his bed as he pulled on his pants. Felix didn't hesitate, immediately posting a photo in their dorm's group chat. The three of them opened it and subconsciously held their breath. Then, in unison, damn, she stacked. Rex's eyes were wide. Felix, you never disappoint. There's no face in the picture, but just based on that. TSK. You really are a man of singular focus. You wouldn't even look at a girl who was even slightly smaller. After discussing Felix's love life, Rex went to the bathroom. When he came out, he propped his phone up on his desk, put on a dance tutorial video, and started practicing in the middle of the room. Leo's eye twitched as he watched Rex's robotic movements. Rex, are you really trying to get good at dancing? Not really. I joined the club for the president, but after going to a few meetings, I found out that only the really skilled dancers get to practice in the same studio as her. I was about to give up, but then I actually saw the president, Ruby Yu, in person, and man, that face. I've decided to put in a little effort. I'm going to get into her studio. Rex's face was a mask of determination. He was clearly dead set on it. Leo swallowed hard, wanting desperately to tell him the truth. But seeing his friend so full of fighting spirit, he just couldn't bring himself to do it. Oh well, he thought. A man's got to have a dream. Besides, he loses interest in things after 5 minutes. With those robot moves, he's probably never going to practice with Ruby anyway. With that, Leo headed to the cafeteria for lunch, then walked toward the Fletcher Arts and Design building. He planned to check out the new script at the studio before taking Isabelle to the gaming club. Leo, you're here. Sean Xiao was sitting on the studio couch, a laptop on the coffee table in front of him. Yeah, I saw your message in the group chat. Can we check out the new script? Leo said. Also, Sean, I think we can start looking for some ad promotions. Our account is almost at 200,000 followers, and we can guarantee over 700,000 views in 24 hours and 5 million in 72 hours. We're officially a high-quality content channel. I was already in touch with some brand PR people last night, Sean replied. I'm trying to find the right products now, something we can integrate into the videos without it feeling too forced. He slid the laptop toward Leo, showing in the chat logs with several brand reps. Seeing this, Leo nodded. Good, then you've got it handled. I won't interfere. In truth, Leo had planned on taking charge of sponsorships himself, since he had experience working with brands. But he reminded himself that Sean was the studio head. Even though Leo had invested money, he was still new and didn't want to overstep. In the end, it didn't matter who handled it. Soon after, around 1:30, Ruby and Quinn arrived. They read through the script, offered a few suggestions, and finalized it for the next day's shoot. Halfway through, Ruby's phone rang. Hold on, I gotta take this. While Ruby was outside, Leo finished looking over the revised script and checked the time. He stood up, ready to leave and find Isabelle. Sean, I'm heading out. Let me know when you decide on a brand to partner with. I'll need to take a look. Sean raised an eyebrow slightly, then nodded. All right, sure. After leaving the studio, Leo sent Isabelle a message. Leo Yeager, girlfriend, where are you? Isabelle Thornton, at the dance studio, watching Haley and Zoe practice.